من جروب A خسروا مبارياتهم بالأمس ربع نهائي راح تكون معنا اليوم. في كل مرة فريق يفوز فيها راح تكون قيمة الفوز هذا أكثر من 250 ألف دولار أمريكي، وهذا الشيء اللي راح نشهده اليوم، خصوصا أن المباريات راح تكون جدا قوية، وكل الفرق اللي راح يتواجهون اليوم ما قد واجهوا بعض في الجروب ستيج. راح نشوف أشياء مميزة وكلنا متحمسين أننا نبدأ اليوم الرابع ونشوف مين اللي راح يتأهل لمباريات غدا اللي بتكون مباريات نصف النهائي.
That is right. The playoffs begin now, and these playoffs have the best teams, honestly. We are starting with one of the most exciting matches of the tournament, PSG LGD versus Nigma Galaxy. We have a wonderful talent here to analyze this game. Seb, who is going to be finding out who's going to be fighting against his team next. How does that feel?
It feels great. Happy to be here. This is like, I think we're getting into the serious times. It's
Sure.
the money time, single elim. These are the big games, so I'm super hyped for it.
And Seek and Strike here joining us as well. I know you were telling me before that there's a specific reason why you're excited for this matchup.
Oh yeah, I mean, right, getting LGD finally to come international, play versus some of the big names like Kuroki, of course, Nigma Galaxy. They played last time over in Kiev with the Animajor. It was a 3-2 scoreline across 2 series, so I'm excited to see them in another best of 3 because they drew in a best of 2, so I'm happy we get to see them in that decisive 3rd game potentially.
And I know that right now it seems serious time, we're all excited about the present, but it's important to remember why we got here, which is why we have last day's recaps brought to you here by Aramco Highlights. So let's see what happened and what led them to this position. So see the matches from PSG LGD. This is just a lot of the players getting ready. The drafts, of course, against Deep Boosters. That was their first 2-0 of the day. If you guys can recall that, Deep Boosters are the level 1 Roche. Always fun to see. They were enjoying themselves, but not a match for PSG LGD. They did manage to kill Faith Beyond in game 2, though, so that's something.
Yeah, with the Techies Pudge, it looks pretty good. I mean, LGD having that series cap off their group stage, which was otherwise flawless, of course, except for the Secret Series, right?
Yep.
That's another team that we're going to be looking out for later, as they're not playing today, getting a bye from the first round of single elims. But LGD going 6-0 across the group stage, certainly turning a couple of eyes. We'll see here if Secret has some more surprises in store for us tomorrow. But yeah, great showing from LGD throughout the group stage for sure.
And here's a good memory for you, Seb, the OG TSM match.
Yeah, I mean, I think the game 1 especially, it was really, really close. It was a great game played by both teams. Obviously, a lot at stake for TSM. It was the game, that they kind of needed in order to not get eliminated. Ended up not really mattering as much. As we see, in game 2, they also ended up losing 2-0 to OG. Quite convincingly, I would say. So, they're going home and they're going to get to reflect, kind of rebuild, which is, probably good news for them. They have Arlington Major coming right up. As for OG, they're going to be moving on to the semifinal, I believe, to my obviously, to my greatest pride.
Yeah.
And they're going to be facing either Nigma or LGD, which are 2, monster teams of this tournament that are going to battle it out in just about, less than 30 minutes now.
For the final game of the day, if you guys remember, it was PSG LGD versus Tundra. Tundra had a couple of things they had to fix, but they started out the day really strong. They changed the way they were drafting. They made sure the Hockey had a good game, and it looked pretty close, at least in the drafting phase. Maybe some people would say that was not the most radiant game for them, but there's a lot of questions about that. PSG LGD managed to tower over them, especially in that game 2, and that's why we see them in the spot that they are today. But now, we'll get to see them against Nigma Galaxy, a team that's been looking incredible. Seb, when we first came in here, before we saw any matches, you were already talking to all the talent about how you thought they were in top form here.
Yeah, I think they were looking really, really strong, and it's obviously hard to assess because they were playing in Div 2. So you're tempted to say that their opposition is a little bit weaker. Are they really as strong as they were? But I think when you really kind of try to read through the Dota, which I was trying to do, they look super strong. I'm really not surprised that they're in such dominant form, and I think they're gonna keep peaking. I mean, these players they excel in the money time. I'm looking at them kind of picking up some steam, and I think it's going to keep getting better and better. I'm thinking, the Kurokis, the Miracles, I mean, all of them, honestly. I think, the harder the games, the toughest the challenge, the better they perform, so.
Yep. Let us remind everyone what money time means here as we check over the format of this tournament. We're now in the second stage. You'll be able to see here any second. We started with two groups of 5 teams. That was a round robin best of 2, and 2 teams got eliminated from each group. group. Now we're moving on to the playoffs. One team from each group as well made the semifinals from these playoffs. And these playoffs are single elimination, as we mentioned before, all best of threes, including that grand final. So there are no second chances. It's just straight up if you lose this any game.
Yeah,
or rather any series.
And yeah, with the single elim on the line, like you're saying, I think that's kind of neat because, you know, while it's a little bit sad, we won't get to see any lower bracket runs. You know, those are always a great storyline to look out for. It does mean that teams are not going to hold anything back. Every single game, every single kill, every single smoke, you know, they're going to be playing for max efficiency.
And just to give a little bit of a perspective of what these games can mean for these players, I mean, you see the difference, you know, between being 5 and 6 and being 3rd and 4th. Like, it's literally, it's double the price. You know, it's 425,000 USD, which is basically double the price of winning a major.
Yep.
Right. So I can't emphasize, you know, how much it means in terms of what's at stake in these games. And the single elim, it brings, you know, a whole new layer of what these games represent, and also the ability for these teams to adapt to the format, because you get only one chance to kind of deal with what the enemy is going to be throwing at you. You get the break in between the games, you know, probably a second map, a third map at best. But usually in, you know, other formats of tournaments, you get to think about it, you know, overnight, get to drop to the lower bracket, kind of distance yourself from the game, play other teams, get another, you know, kind of other ideas of how you could deal with that team in particular. You get to also watch other teams deal with them. All of that is gone here. You have to face them, either beat them or lose to them, and that's it.
These are the original teams that were attending this tournament. To do another reminder for you guys, in that Group A, we lost Liquid and also TSM, FTX. And then in Group B, we lost D-Boosters and Tundra Esports. In these two groups, though, we got Secret and OG making it through to those semifinals directly. And the rest of the teams will be going into the single elim bracket. Here are the final standings for the groups so you guys can see. OG and Secret topping both of their groups. Secret with the best score overall. As I just mentioned, TSM and Liquid going down. Tundra and Esports and D-Boosters also. And in the middle pack, PSG, LGD, Team Spirit, RNG, and Nigma Galaxy will be duking it out for your pleasure very, very soon.
I think it's kind of interesting, like when you look at the teams that are 100% locked and guaranteed already, you know, going to TI, going to Singapore later on October. We've lost one of them, right? TSM is out. They're actually not going to Arlington. They placed 4th in the NA, so we won't see them for a while unless they choose to participate in any upcoming third-party tournaments. But for OG, you know, a top 4 finish already guaranteed, and I'm eager to see how LGD does in their first series.
Yep, I'm curious as well to know when this first series will be. We see the brackets here. This is very informative to us, very nice visual aid, but I need to know times. I need to know the schedule, which will be on the screen here any second. Soon, we will see it. We will see it. But we are starting, and I promise you, with PSG LGD versus Nigma Galaxy. That's going to be in around 8 minutes here. So let's talk about this matchup first.
I mean, I can't emphasize how excited I am about this matchup. I think these two teams, first of all, they have big history, you know, kind of against each other's. Nigma versus PSG LGD, I believe that was TI9 lower bracket finals. You know, obviously really big games, still in these players' mind.
There it is.
There you go with the schedule. So, I mean, this matchup, honestly, both these matchups are crazy. And we finally get, you know, a really good taste of the East versus the West today. I think we haven't seen, you know, international competition for a while, and now we finally are gonna see, you know, like the big names in China, in PSG, RNG, going up against probably some of the best in EU and CIS, in Nigma and Team Spirit. I mean, this is an all-star games, both of them.
Indeed. In fact, the best all-star game, I'd say probably the last one today. I think this is the real star-studded series for today. You see two no-logo teams. You wonder what's happening. This is going to be the show match for today. We have the English talent, if we can call them that, and then D-Boosters Reborn. We're going to have a really exciting show match prepared for you guys. You know, it's a little bit of good fun out of such exciting Dota to warm you, to calm you down, right? It's good after exercise to make sure to do the extra lap. This will be the extra lap, but you walk around the field to make sure that you're ready for tomorrow's games as well.
It's going to help you understand, you know, after seeing great Dota, what also could have happened, what the game, you know, like kind of the best the game has to offer, and then the worst the game has to offer. It gives you like a good perspective of, you know, the every layer of Dota.
Yeah, you know, like it's like, I think at the Olympics we should have like a regular person also run along these guys and
try to
just for the perspective, right? That's what we're doing for you guys.
I love the image and the analogy. That very much sounds like what's about to happen. So yeah, lovely one.
Lovely. I'm sure our English talent will really appreciate these comments as we see the trophy here on screen, by the way. This is what it looks like, but I swear, even though however real it looks, this is an AR trophy currently. We have a physical one for the teams to take home when they manage to win that grand final. But now we actually get to talk about real Dota. We get to talk about the match that's going to be in front of us very soon. PSG LGD versus Nigma Galaxy. We've mentioned Nigma briefly, but I want to hear from you, Richie. PSG LGD, they've been looking in top form for the most part of this tournament. One of the strongest teams coming in. What can you tell me about them?
I mean, you know, coming in with pretty unstoppable form already in their first 2-0 series versus the rematch, right? The last team they faced internationally was at the main stage TI-10 Grand Finals, right? It was the first match they had here, 2-0, very, very heavy-handed defeats as well to Spirit, who I might add have been also really dramatically improving throughout the tournament as well. LGD, right? Their only so far kryptonite has been the puppy lineups, the puppy drafts, right? And specifically the play styles. But Kuro is another one of these, you know, ginormous minds in the West. So I'm eager to see how he's going to be able to do here.
Yeah, I'm interested. I want to add to that point, you know, because the puppy lineups for now has been this more aggressive lineup than usual, right? They've foregone the tricore to go for full-on aggression. Nigma actually tried something similar as well against OG, so perhaps Nigma could be not necessarily imitating, but they have a similar style to Secret, could be an issue for LGD to deal with?
I feel like Nigma is just very versatile, so they're just gonna kind of pick the best weapon they can use against each given team. They're probably one of the, I think these are probably two of the most versatile, if not the most versatile teams in the whole tournament. So it's going to be incredibly, I'm curious to see what they're going to, you know, use today.
Okay. With two versatile teams, we honestly cannot guess, which is why we're not going to keep guessing. We're going to go to a small break, and when we come back, it's going to be the draft between Nigma Galaxy and PSG LGD. Please stay tuned for this wonderful encounter.
Progress is a race that has no end. After every finish line, another challenge awaits. How can we continue to push innovation in a sport at the forefront of technology? This is how. Discover how Aramco and the Aston Martin Formula One team aim to meet Formula One's sustainable fuel targets. Aramco, powered by How.
Welcome back. The teams are ready to walk out on that main stage, and they're hopefully ready to play some great Dota. So let's get to meet them a little bit more. Let's talk about them briefly. What are your expectations for this matchup? Not results, of course, but what are things can we be seeing here? What strategies do you think these teams can be bringing, Seb?
I mean, I think this is some of the best Dota you're gonna get all year. I'm not gonna lie.
Wow!
Yeah. Seriously, I think these are two of the best teams in the world. Really, they always have been. There always will be. I don't know. They still are. That's what I know.
Sure.
So yeah, I really can't emphasize how exciting these games are gonna be. This is single elim. This is, you know, big money, big stakes. I think it's gonna be crazy.
I'm curious of one thing. When you have these teams that are so versatile, you know, most teams usually prepare for the first 2 picks. That's a very big part of the preparation. How do you prepare against a team that can just bring out a new strat completely?
I think you have to focus on your own strength, right? I think there's no such thing as countering LGD or cornering them. And
Sure.
likewise for Nigma, you have to really know what you want to do and make sure that it's going to be well executed. I think that's the most important part.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we kind of saw that like with the, I believe it was the OG series versus LGD. I think I might be misremembering here, but like trying to always like ban out this lone druid, right? Like LGD in their first game of the tournament, just last picking their lone druid, first picking Razor, like they just kind of do what they want. And I think, like you're saying, it might be best to just play your own game and play to your own strengths as a team.
There's actually Tundra and D-Boosters. D-Boosters also did the lone druid ban every single time. And I'm going to see the teams now walk out on the stage, so get ready to witness their glory.
Welcome back to the stage. It's almost time to kick off our first series, and the first opponent to take to the stage, well, they got off to a rough start in the group stage, but ever since that first series, they have been brutalizing every opponent in their way. Join me in welcoming to the stage, PSG LGD.
فريق PSG وصل المسرح، لكن خصمهم هو الخصم اللي ممكن قدر يتأهل من الجروب A على المركز الثالث، ولكن قدرته انه يقدر يوصل للنهائيات ويتأهل الى نصف النهائي ويوصل لهم الفاينلز جدا جدا عالية. فخلونا نرحب فيهم اعزائي المشاهدين والحضور، فريق نيجما جالكسي.
The stage is set, the teams are assembled. This is one best of 3 single elimination. The last time these two teams met was over a year ago at the Singapore Major. There, LGD took the victory, but here, Nigma have home crowd support. Let's see what they can do as we head across the desk.
خلونا نشوف وش اللي ممكن يحدث في الجيم هذا اعزائنا المشاهدين. في اخر مره تواجه فريق PSG LGD ضد فريق نيجما جالكسي كان قبل اكثر من سنه في ميجر سنغافورة، ولكن اليوم راح نشوفهم مره ثانيه يتواجهون. لكن لا ننسى ان قيمه الفوز الواحد اكثر من 200,000 دولار، وكلنا متحمسين نشوف مين اللي بيقدر يتقدم للنصف النهائي ويقابل السيد الاول من كل جروب. بالتوفيق لهم ان شاء الله. نتوجه على طول للاستوديو التحليلي ونرجع لكم في المباراه الاولى.
Welcome back. The stage is set. Two incredible teams, a crowd that is roaring. Honestly, probably for Nigma here, because they have a lot of fans. We always see them, meeting up with their fans here. But it's PSG that I'd like to talk about first. This team has a coach that at one point redefined what it meant to be Chinese Dota, and this team has been probably the best team in China for the past 3 years. Arguably one of the best teams, if not the best team in the world as well. Seb, what can you tell me about these incredible players?
That they're incredible players. I mean, I very much agree with that. No, I think, these teams and these players that are as experienced, the later you get in the tournament, the scarier they look, because they learn really quick. They understand things really quick. You have to also understand that they have not seen other regions play, or I mean, even if they watch, kind of watching versus playing is a big difference. So now they got to play versus other regions, and they got to break down really what is it about other regions' play style, that might be good and that we might be forgetting or kind of down looking. So I'm sure, they are kind of growing day after day, getting stronger day after day, and it's the same for Nigma, which is why I think it's hard to predict what these teams are going to value kind of, more or less, but I can only tell you that it's getting better every day, and you're going to get really the best of what they had to offer so far.
Richie, is this one of these encounters, because of the versatility, because of the caliber of both teams, where the meta is going to literally be defined as the match progresses and the best of 3 progresses?
I think we're going to end up seeing that. I think the thing that's really interesting about LGD is they're coming straight from playing Chinese DPC, like literally 24 hours before they were playing tiebreakers, right? To the point where we brought this up, they did kind of forfeit the last series, but just to come here and prepare. I mean, I'm sure Xiaobao was, Xiaobao was doing a lot of preparation work, but Nigma have had plenty of time off, right? They just did their Division 2 run, kind of coasted through that. I'm sure they were testing out some things, doing some scrims, don't get me wrong, but they've had much more time to prepare. So yeah, I think we're going to see some really cool stuff out from the minds of Kuro and Xiaobao here.
All right, that's the second team that we're going to be seeing today. It's Nigma. Seb, you've been singing their praises this whole tournament. You're saying they're back in TI form. Why is that? What was the big change for them?
I feel like a surge of confidence.
Okay.
I feel like, they've had this kind of long period of time where they probably did not perform as much. I mean, these guys are TI winners, right? Like, these guys have been winning big tournaments after big tournaments, and they've been dominating also teams behind the scenes, like in the scrims, in the practice. They've always been one of the best teams out there. I'm sure all the pro players would agree to that, and they end up in Division 2. They end up as being one of the, visibly one of the weaker teams out there in the region. It's definitely not the case. I think they've been kind of looking for their true identity, their true selves. They probably have been confusing themselves, overthinking, and they've had this really long period of the, kind of the end of the Weeha era into the LTW that really never really worked like as much as they expected to. And it doesn't matter if you're a GH, a Miracle, a Kuroki, or Mind Control, these things can kind of get to you, and you get to kind of overthink and doubt yourself. It's like, am I still good enough? Do I still have the right view on Dota? And I feel like bringing in Sumail, it was a better fit in terms of playstyle, and it helped them find the confidence again. It's like, oh yeah, we are good actually. Our ideas, they do work. We just needed the missing piece of the puzzle, which they actually have now. And I just feel like they all woke up all of a sudden together, and it is scary, and I'm sure we're going to see it today.
Right.
I'd like to talk about that, kind of teams adapting differently to different circumstances and different play styles. Right in our secret interview where we had Puppy and Chrysalis on the couch, Puppy, not really a fan of that format, right? And I could see why that's certainly the case, and how they show up to LAN and look like not really a different team, but like you said, reboosted, re-energized, right, and ready to go. Nigma as well, they've been hungry to prove themselves for quite some time, and I think this is the perfect opportunity for them. King's back to mid, back in the off lane, back in the mid lane, of course. Miracle safe. And you look at other teams like the Hawk and BetBoom previously also do differently on like the online accelerated format, right? They show up to Stockholm and, some impressive games in the group stage, and then main stage, it doesn't really look so good for them there. So that is very much like a different teams preferring different metas and different kind of play styles and environments, but here at LANs, where it's the biggest stage, it seems like these guys really turn it on.
And think of the difference, right, that we saw between Tundra with 33 and Tundra with the Hawk. Think of the difference. Are suddenly Snaking, Skitter, Nine, and Saxa worse players? Are they bad? No, they're not. We've seen them in format the major. They're incredible players, but sometimes one player's style or difference, it doesn't matter how good they are. It can change the entire team, and we've witnessed that with firsthand here with Tundra. So I think the exact same happened with Nigma. Suddenly you have these superstars that are Kuro or MC finally enabled. They can kind of play the game how they view it. Sumail supports that. He, as they even said in interviews, he's going to bring even new ideas, maybe even better ideas. So not only does he enable that, but he probably enhances it. And then you end up with a team that is super scary, dominating through the group stage and ready to take a battle with LGD and maybe even beat them.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned this because there's a history with this with Kuro particularly back in. People really like this idea that if you kick a player, you bring someone new, that's because the new player is better, right? And that is too binary. It's not how Dota is.
It's not.
Dota is complex, and Kuro was the first person to mention that back in the Liquid days when they kicked him a Tumble Man, right? He said it's not because he's the bad one. It's not because we think we got a better player. It's just because we believe that we can find a better fit sometimes.
Yeah.
And now we're going to be seeing this with Samael. The draft is upon us, and here are the bans by Nigma Galaxy. A lot of teams have tried different strategies against PSG LGD. This is the first team that first phase bans the Warlock.
This means that the Razor's open. That's something that they've been very keen to pick throughout Chinese TPC. Tiny as well is another highly contested hero of theirs. So I'm eager to see if LGD, I was actually just saying, they always like to ban the Wyvern, usually second phase though. So a pretty major adjustment here from LGD as far as first phase bans go.
I don't know that we're going to see the Razor as contested. We'll see. I think for LGD, it's an important hero for them that they respect a lot. I don't think it's the same for Nigma. I think it's more situational. Never mind. As I say that, they do first pick it, so never. I mean, it's always Nigma. They probably have more to their playbook, but it's also a good take for teams to sometimes kind of choose the weapon that also takes it away from the enemy, right? It's just always better. You could decide to be picking, for instance, a Coddle that you're very comfortable with. If you're as comfortable with the Razor and you know that LGD were looking at it, then why not? So they're gonna go ahead and first pick the Razor. Obviously, a lot of heroes that both teams like a lot are open. This is so classic LGD. I mean, it's not even LGD. I'm sorry. This is just Wings, guys. Like at this point, I mean, out of the blue, two heroes that haven't been touched in the first phase for the entire tournament. And you get them right away. That's the beauty of Dota. That's why I'm a fan of that team.
This is a very, very similar opening as well that LG used versus Team Aster when Aster swiped the Razor from them first, right? Interesting. They wanted to go with the Warlock, but that was banned against them here, so they're going to pick up a different 5, but they very much value the Faceless Void. Maybe it's for the lane, maybe of course the matchup is quite good, Chronosphere, and beat the crap out of them, right? But they did also first phase this hero.
I'll be honest, I feel like this Void pick reminds me a lot of their Bristle pick second phase. Like they are exposing the Void a lot. You can do this from first pick, and that's what I mean. Right away, MC is like, Void +1, Ami, are you serious? Then he's just gonna profit the Void. It should be a very tough lane for Void. Just think about a Void trying to blast it against a Prophet. It's tough, and you don't really have a way to, how do you deal with Prophet? You either outlasted him, kill the Treants, Void does neither, or you kill him. Void is also not the best at killing Prophet, he doesn't really have burst damage. Think of the Prophet gonna be partnered up probably with a GH or Kuro hero, a melee +4 stunner. It's usually what you get to get along with the Prophet. It's a long way to say that this Void is gonna have a tough laning phase. Sure. I don't want to get into that territory, but the Razor could be support. I'm not hoping to see another Kuro +5 Raider, even though, with all the respect, I know it became a meme after the TI qualifiers.
Fata's been doing it on Quincycur, though.
Sometimes it's what you have to do, if you're gonna completely destroy Faces Void's game, I mean, why not?
Yeah. And here, maybe the Enchantress was also preemptively picked to make sure that the Void could have an easier lane against MP. Yeah. Very big mind control hero as well. Enchantress does decently against the MP, steals the Treant, so maybe they were already planning this. And the Bristleback pick, he got 2 full picks to counter him. This time you only get 1, and maybe LGD was setting up for that.
You only get 1 through, but you also get the second fish, right? And I mean, Void is not a hero that... I think whenever you pick a Void, it needs to be a good Void game, because it's not a hero that can adapt having a bad game, play utility, you know what I mean? Some heroes kind of can. Prophet having a rough game, sure, buy different items, find a way to impact the game anyways. Void is these kind of heroes where you pick a Void, it's gonna be a Void game, And if it's a bad Void game, it's kind of hard to get out of it.
Yeah, and I think one thing you're gonna need to look out for here is the potential for a Dawnbreaker right into the Chronosphere makes it just so much more difficult, especially early on where Void usually requires a little bit of help. Snapfire Kiss is very, very common, right? To kind of enable kills early and get his game started. The Dawnbreaker ulti in could be a serious problem for that.
That is I mean, so many teams have been looking at this Razor, right? You think of OG, you think of, RNG also have first picked the Razor, so I'm sure all the teams, right now we're getting into kind of the final stage of the tournament with the best teams that are staying, and this is a big test for everybody else is watching. It's like, this first pick Razor has been winning most of the games, if not all the games, and now you have, one of the best minds of Dota being like, we think that counters it. So there's a lot at stake for this game, not only for these two teams, for also how the meta of the tournament is going to develop.
So a lot at stake here as we get some of the final bans from Nigma. Interesting. I want to talk about this Quap ban, is that as a protection to perhaps put the Razor mid? Is that what they're considering here?
Exactly. They want to keep their options open, and they already don't want to put the Razor on the safe lane, on the off lane, I mean, against the safe lane of LGD, which is why they picked the Prophet. So now they're looking at this Razor going either mid, and they're trying to cover that angle by banning the Quap, banning the Zeus. It's probably a hero that's now pretty good against Razor mid, I would assume. You know, the Heavenly Jump, kind of slowing the Razor, getting away from the link, and just kind of nuking the wave down. It doesn't sound like Razor can really stop Zeus from doing anything, and it's just painful for Razor to be kind of... Razor doesn't like heroes that are going to not allow him to kind of close the gap, right? He doesn't want to die from afar. He wants to get on top of you. So that's why he enjoys the melee carry heroes, because they want to do the same, and this is when it doesn't work. So the Zeus, the Quaps, these heroes are naturally good against the Razor. So that's why Nigma's trying to cover. It's either going to be a safe lane Razor or a mid Razor. But knowing Miracle, I'm sure he's not probably the biggest fan of the Razor kind of heroes. He likes the farm-heavy, flashy ones. So...
Okay.
Yeah, there's the Marcy pick. I just want to quickly comment on those last two bans out from LGD, in particular the Nyx. I thought it was maybe something to do with potentially like a Dawnbreaker, hence like Nigma banned Zeus. They don't want to play against like a full global lineup while the Faceless Void farms and gets online. Maybe that was something they were considering, but it seems like they're going in a different direction here with the Marcy pick.
I think they're banning also heroes that are gonna pair well with the Prophet or the Razor on the offlane, which, you know, the Tusk, the Nyx, these are the more popular heroes, and I think these are GH heroes, Kuro heroes, these are heroes that also Nigma has played with quite success in the tournament. It's gonna kind of corner Nigma into picking heroes that they probably are not as comfortable, or that LGD don't care as much about. I'm thinking a little bit about the clockwork for Nigma. Of course, you're probably not that happy against the Void, but with the new change to Battery Assault, it's probably a better hero against Enchantress.
There's the Dawnbreaker.
Dawnbreaker CM. That is a very strong and scary lane to go up against. And that's also the beauty of what Nigma usually does with drafts, is they try to keep it open for as long as possible, because you still don't know where Dawn is going and where Razor is going. It could be either way.
Right. And now we have LGD having to kind of pick in the dark, right? Because they don't know these positions, they don't know how to set up these lanes. What would be the options here to set up for Marcy's success, Richie? Do you think you pick up an offlane with kill potential to make sure Marcy's a good lane? Do you use that Psychic more?
I think if you're LGD, you need to pick ideally a Faith Beyond hero that lanes well with Marcy against both Razor and Dawnbreaker. That's probably your best option right now, knowing that it could be the last hero coming too. So, I mean, a lot of heroes do the job, but you just need to pick something that's kind of stable, good for the game. I want to say, I think it's still a very good Void game so far. Of course, he might have a little bit of a slower laning phase, but at the end of the day, he does have an edge, one of the strongest supports to secure your lane, no matter what you're up against. And I don't see Void as being countered. I think Void, when he gets, you know, when he's going to get to critical mass this game, he's just going to win this game, right? He's not going to get stopped by any of these heroes so far. So I think, yeah, I like these kind of picks, like just stable picks, gonna help you kind of stabilize the game, you know, fight back, so that you can get Ame to where he wants to be. And if you do achieve that, then he will just win you the game.
Yeah, and at least with this Pango pick, it brings some sorely needed wave clear versus the eventual Treant push. Of course, now Nigma have their bases pretty well covered between the Celestial Hammer, the Crystal Nova as well, and the Maiden, even Razor, right, having good wave clear. So something for that into Maelstrom looks potentially good here for them. I'm wondering, I predict that to be a mid laner though, because I'm not sure how powerful of a lane that is between the Marcy Pango. Something as well that needs a little bit, can give more damage into Chronosphere is still what I'm looking for early on.
Especially into a Dawn CM lane. I can't think of a stronger lane than Dawn CM. I think it's dump CM lane. You know, it's like almost nothing can contest it. It's just too strong. The power spike at level 2, Frostbite, you know, Crystal Nova into the 2 Dawn spells. It's like nothing survives it. Pango, sure, he might not die, but think of him every time he goes for last hit, he's gonna tank the 4 spells, have to buy a salve. It is obnoxious.
So what's the best options against these lanes though? Like when you have a lane that's really hard to beat, are there offlaners that can lose the lane and then have impact in game?
I mean, I would maybe look at Enigma, these kind of heroes that are like, you're gonna slow them down a little bit by denying creeps. I have the feeling that it's still too much for Eidolons to even sit in the lane, you know, too many spells like between the Nova. It's hard. I mean, Dawn does one-shot Eidolons. I'm not sure. I think I mean, sometimes it's just too strong of a lane. You're not gonna find something that beats it, so build on the game, accept that that lane is going to be rough. You know, look at heroes that can rotate better. You know, just like open up.
That could be an idea, right? Because they need something to open up their map. Right now, these 4 heroes for LGD, outside of Pango ganking a lane, it's not really any heroes that like kind of set up in a lane and then like make space for this Faceless Void.
Yeah.
Like that's my biggest concern. Whereas Nigma, they can speed up this game. They're all over the map now with this Dawnbreaker ulti being online. Razor's running in, NP's TPing in behind, right? Like it's actually kind of terrifying right now how quickly Nigma can take control of the map. I think LGD, they need a little bit of that for their side.
And that is Nigma's comfort and probably so far LGD's weakness. You know, if you think about the Secret series again, they lost to this, okay, we got rough lanes and we're just getting rolled over. It's what happened against Secret, you know, with the Dawn, with the Zeus, kind of the same, right? Global presence into the Chen, grouping up. And you could see the same happen here. I mean, if Razor has a good lane and they start grouping up around him, the Prophet kind of forcing the fight because he's taking down your towers. You have the Dawn ulti. I think LGD, they really have to respect this early tempo that Nigma can decide to put on the game. And I don't know that they have the answers yet.
I mean, and I think those were 2 very good heroes, right, that Nigma just banned out. The Viper, of course, a fantastic lane with Marcy, one of the better ones, might even be able to fight into this Dawnbreaker.
Great laners, great early game heroes, tempo controller, and that is exactly what, you know, LGD needs right now.
This is going to be, I mean, I don't know where this Bristle is going. Is this going to be a Razor support? Perhaps a Dawnbreaker support?
It could be a, I think it might be a Razor support. I think it might be. I mean, it could be still Razor mid, for instance. Dawnbreaker position 4 with the Prophet. That's a very good lane. I think Dawn is also quite good against Ench. You know, he's very strong, good stats. He can fight back the Ench early on. Okay, they do go for the Death Prophet, so I mean, it could still be a Death Prophet position 3, right?
Yeah.
They could still swap it up. I mean, Faith Beyond plays both heroes. Probably for the tempo of the game, the Pango mid is a little bit nicer, and the DP matches much better into the Bristleback. It's just a good lane for DP. We've seen it yesterday with Rezo playing the DP against actually Ami's Bristleback, if I'm not mistaken, and that turned out to be really good. So
yep, and I really like the DP pick. No matter the position, really, it's going to give you a lot of Roche control, Roche potential, tower siege as well into the Bristleback. Right, that's going to be some really good physical damage. I like that as a last pick overall. Yeah.
Super fast-paced lineup from Nigma. I think LGD, they're going to be on the defensive. They're going to try to stabilize the game and kind of drag it onto the mid-late game.
A little bit of a reminder of that Secret game, right? You talked about them being adaptable. It seems like they found that Secret was the strategy, and let's see how they can execute as we go over to our casters for this great encounter. Get ready for Nigma Galaxy versus PSG LGD.
That's right, here we are, game 1 of this best of 3. Nigma with some heavy tempo, great lanes. And LGD, it's going to come down to how they respond and react to that early aggression, isn't it?
Yeah, PSG LGD, they needed something, some kind of damage to dump inside of Chronosphere. I'm a little worried about the cooldowns that they have, because they have Faceless Void and Dead Prophet, and Nigma's lineup, they rely on no cooldowns whatsoever. They're always going to be ready to go, especially this Bristleback. We've seen it so many times, not just in this tournament, but also in the previous DPC tour, how explosive Bristleback lineups can be.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult to kill him off in lanes. You can't necessarily shut him down early on. And even just a couple of Ancient stacks gets him through those tanky early items, the Vanguard or the Hood, and into the Aghanim Scepter, which gives you that superb item timing in the early mid-game coming out of that laning stage.
Super strong lanes from Nigma Galaxy, because they switch things around a little bit. We're going to see Sumail playing that Razor on the mid lane, and yeah, Bristleback on the safe lane. It's very tempo-oriented lineup, also having Nature's Prophet, so 3 good scaling cores on their side. Even though GH is playing CM, I still think they're going to be laning CM plus a Bristleback, and then have Nature's Prophet laning with Dawnbreaker to be able to have some kind of a stun in that lane, to be able to stop them from TPing, and it's super strong lanes from Team Nigma. I'm a little worried for PSG LGD, like they need to stabilize their game and play for the mid game, because their early game is not that strong. Enchantress, sure, strong laner. Faceless Void doesn't provide you with much. He doesn't deal well with the Nature's Prophet in the lane. I'm mostly looking at the Nothing to Say Spango, how he's going to be able to perform. He has relatively easy game. There's not many silences, stuns. There is root mechanic from Crystal Maiden. Other than that, he should feel pretty comfortable coming into the fight with the Rolling Thunder.
Yeah, and it's only taken a couple of years, but after Mind Control's asked for Kuro to pick me Prophet, he's finally got it. Beautiful little tomato skin as well. We'll see the treants come out a little later on, as they did smoke across to this Radiant Triangle, get an early high ground ward around that top spire, the high ground there. What's the primary idea behind this Observer Ward? Is that just to try and spot out people to get First Blood? It's like a First Blood ward?
Yeah, they also want to see what's happening in there, if there are any stacks, because they do have Bristleback, and Bristleback, one of the better heroes early on to go in and potentially take the stack. So you don't necessarily need the stack for yourself, because imagine them coming in with Nature's Prophet, Bristleback, Dawnbreaker, CM as your cores. It's like super difficult to deal with, especially because like Marcy's damage output early on is really not that big. Neither is Enchantress, Faceless Void. Like he needs Chronosphere. Dead Prophet needs that Exorcism to be able to get the damage done. And we're going to see the lane setup from PSG LGD. Dead Prophet plus Marcy, you need to have, like, once again, something with a stun, and the lanes are going to be as we expected. Bristleback plus Crystal Maiden, even though Jay is going to be playing that CM on the bottom. Mind Control on Nature's Prophet, his classic with the Dawnbreaker, Orb of Venom. A lot of slow. Want to see how this lane goes, because Nigma, they will be putting a lot of pressure on Ame, and we can already see, like, forcing him to use a Tango. There is a hammer. Ame trying to dodge. Will dodge it, but the slow is still doing a ton of damage.
Yeah, he's going to take all that chip damage. Not comfortable for him whatsoever. And they've already blocked up one of the camps as well to try and limit the pulls and the creeps being stolen away by Y. As Enchantress did go for Enchant level 1. Of course, can be grabbing those treants from time to time. As top lane, GH playing aggressively with Miracle, getting a snipe on the Jinkyu Courier. Chasing Faith Beyond back on the tower, and now
facing the target
against the Marcy with a Frostbite there. They've got some good damage into him, and that's the level 2 hit that we were looking for.
Yeah, they got that level 2 much faster than PSG LGD, because they're still level 1 playing aggressive with the Bristleback, coming in with a couple of mangoes on Crystal Maiden, and GH is the one who got the first blood. Also, you want to have as many possible mangoes in this lane, because you're playing with the Bristleback. It's not about, you know, using the healing salve on your carry, because it's not a thing anymore. So with having extra mangoes, you're going to win the trade war against Dead Prophet and Marcy. Also,
it's one of those cliches, right? Like, offense is the best defense.
Absolutely. And in this matchup, like, Dead Prophet's not going to be getting too much value from the sidekick. This is not the lane that, because usually I think Jinkyu, he knows he's the best player in terms of utilizing Marcy, because he's not going for like this support Etherlands type of a build. He does go for 1-1-3 or 1-1-4, what do you want to call it, with the sidekick, and then he wants to scale. So Phase Boots, BKB, Blink Dagger, Basher, he is using 100% of the hero. I think I already mentioned it a couple of times. I'm not a big fan of that, using Dispose and Rebound only, and also Unleash. Like, this is your damage. This is your ulti. This is something that is supposed to be big, and then you use it only for the spell mechanic, which is kind of meh.
Yeah, it gives you a lot of options as well. Like, when you have a hero like Pango from your mid lane, right, it also gives them more options, whether they want to go for utility or damage. So then Nothing to Say has the option to think about, you know, the Blink Dagger rather than Diffusal Blade or the Aghanims and things along those lines. As we all get back underway, as we've seen tips fly around, you know, Kuroki getting a lot of love from his own team as they've set themselves up for a good victory in this early laning stage. Top lane already with that first kill, and looking in towards mid, Nothing to Say is taking a lot of harassment from Sumail. 10-2 on the Razor. Pango only picking up 6 CS, but he does have a wave arriving at his tower now.
Even though you don't have the long lane to play with, Razor usually he wants to be able to connect with the static link. Someone uses a slow or a stun, and then you win this trade war in terms of region. Still playing against Pango, forcing him to get the swashbuckle defensively to be able to break the link, and stealing some of his damage. Kind of expected against the Pango, as we see. He's still dealt damage, but not in a way that he wants to.
Yeah, level 1 static link going for the 2 points in Plasma Field, knowing that you're kind of just forcing out the swash with it. As another courier snipe comes through, Kuroki, right place, right time. And Y stealing one of those treants and just sending it towards Mind Control, zoning him a little bit with his own tomato.
Ame on top of CS. So Y doing a very good job soaking up some of the damage on this bottom lane. Looking at the build on Mind Control, going for
top again. Look at that damage. So quickly it comes from GH and Miracle, and they'll absolutely go in towards that tier 1 to take down Jinkyu again.
Miracle ready to buy Ring of Health. Has 8 magic stick charges. Was thinking about for a second to go behind tier 1 tower, potentially dive, but it was too risky. Kuro on a mid lane.
Yeah, coming in hot, Nothing to Say. Jumped in, the Celestial Hammer's there, burning through him, but Jinkyu will be able to kill him in, refill the bottle. transfer it back to nothing to say, just to try and alleviate some of the pain he's been feeling in that mid lane.
It was a good move from Kuro, because he understands that on bottom, mind control, he feels pretty safe, and also forcing a TP rotation, which means that on top lane, Bristleback will get some pressure off on him, because he has Ring of Health. He wants to be able to reach Jin with the jump.
Yeah, straight onto GH. Reasonably squishy Crystal Maiden, but she's able to reset, get away from the Spirit Siphon, and they turn it back so quickly. GH on a killing spree. Miracle's diving tower. He wants this Marcy real bad, trying to get the Bristleback quill sprays out, but not close enough. Good little step back there from Jinkyu's Marcy.
Do you know, Gary, that I read a comment about the Bristleback that it was, I don't know, a year or two ago, where people, like someone realized that he's called Bristleback because of his back. Like that. It's just like, oh, now it all makes sense.
It's like, oh, Doom is called because his ultimate is called Doom, yeah.
Exactly.
Well,
Nothing to say. Did invade enemy jungle and got that bounty rune. Razor 24 CS 17 on Pangolier.
Yeah, Sumail doing very well in that lane, but again, they move aggressively towards the DP, completely zoning her out of the lane and away from the CS, as she's currently sat at 13 last hits. Such a great solid lane from Team Nigma up top.
And as we expected, Marcy going for more points and rebound, because you don't benefit from the sidekick in this lane. GH level 4, they're going to try to go for him.
Out of position, dragged back in towards the DP. Does get a couple of spells off, but GH about to die. Yeah, he does pop the stick, but that's not going to be enough to allow him to survive. Surely not. Jinkyu will dive onto the tier 1 and finish her off. Puts himself in danger, though, as Miracle with these cool sprays will get the trade back.
GH was so close. It was like half a second for him to use the Frostbite, and this still benefits Nigma quite a lot, because they are getting solo levels on a Bristleback. Why? Trying to make a rotation. Let's see the Hurricane. Can he pull him back?
Yeah, looks like they should be able to. Sumail gets out of the battlefield, and they don't Hurricane him around. Why going to get frostbitten? Came in aggressively to play this mid lane. Sumail dies, there's nothing to say. Gets the swashbuckle in towards it. It looked like Nigma might have been able to withhold that and get just the Enchantress kill, but don't underestimate this Blightstone swashbuckle.
Yeah, Hurricane there on Pango instead of connecting onto Razor, but still a good trade, I would say. Nothing to say, getting the levels, and they got the kill before he used the Rolling Thunder. And also this, mid lane, GH.
Yeah, he's been dived again. Jinkyu, with the help of this Wild Wing, slams down the Maiden. Sumail with the Plasma Field will be able to clear through Marcy, though.
A lot of trade kills. Sumail coming in, cleaning things up. There is still a rune, so that's going to be for nothing to say. Being able to refill the bottle on bottom, however.
The pressure.
Mind control, yeah, a ton of pressure. I love the build that he was going for on Nature's Prophet lately. Maelstrom.
Oh, not the Orchid.
Yeah, no, not this time around. Just the straight up Gleipnir.
Get that scaling potential as well. So much damage onto this tower with the catapult wave arriving. Jinkyu is sitting in the trees waiting for his moment to strike. I just don't know if they can do this. Arme nowhere near level 6. Yeah.
They might need another one to come here bottom.
There's the
here
dispose.
They come, nothing to say.
Nice Starbreaker though. Nothing to say. Will be able to take down Kuroki though. And that will deal with the catapult wave while Exorcism up top. Miracle is having to contend with a large camp and the ghost flying around him. Quill sprays galore, kills off Y, but Miracle will in the end die.
Yeah, Exorcism still, dealing full damage, not affected by damage block.
And in mid, nothing to say. Can't swashbuckle away from Sumail. Charging towards Jinkyu, keeping him away from the tower. And this is the thing, right? The early oh, he's going for more. He's going to get a kill. Sumail knew where his limits were, and he pushes them absolutely perfectly, unlocking that mid-tier 1 with the arrival of Mind Control as well.
Nigma having a really good read on the game where they need to bring an extra hero just to be able to secure the kills. Ame finally hits level 6, but look at the bottom tier 1 tower. It's down to 300 HP. First Exorcism was used, no real damage done to tier 1 tower. Yeah. So in terms of trading the towers, I feel like Nigma, especially with the global presence, they're going to be able to kill the tier 1 tower and also defend their safe lane tower.
0 tower damage we just saw there. Beautiful stats going up. LGD struggling.
Oh, it's the
do anything
creeps.
like that.
Oh man, those creeps.
Just the creeps. But back to your point, right, about the trade kills and about the numbers matching. No real advantage from either team in these engagements. That's a good sign of well-matched teams understanding where each other needs to be and reading the opponents as well.
Yeah. So far, Nigma having a really good read how PSG LGD is going to react to what they're doing. Right now, Miracle is going to go back to the top lane, and they need to be a little bit more careful. Kuroki a little under-leveled because they were not getting the kills in this bottom lane. PSG LGD playing very defensive, so level 3, 9 minutes in, he's going to need to be the one getting the tome.
Yeah, Nigma, the reads they're getting out of these 3 observables they've got planted in a triangle around that mid lane and bottom jungle area. They've seen the Enchantress, they know that Jinkyu's around down here as well. So they've got the options, whether they want to TP and react bottom, play into this Chronosphere, which Arme does have, or just kind of casually farm away, Miracle dragging waves into camps and getting that efficiency going.
Sumail, very interesting build. It's all about the efficiency, like how much return you get for the gold invested.
LGD,
all that thought.
Trying to force something and get the drag back with 2 spells, Hurricane and the Dispose, but GH from the high ground, Freezing Field comes. Wrath of Nature bounces across them as well. It's just going to zone back LGD as they hold their aggression. Kind of wasted roll there from the Pango.
He needs a bash here.
He does, but look at Sumail's arrival. Chrono comes onto the 2 of them, a defensive one.
First one, it's the zoning one. They even give him move speed, so for 2.5 minutes, they're not going to be able to play Sumail. What a bro, helping out mind control, and this should also result in a tower, because this...
look at him go!
Here. Oh.
He's TPing in behind him. Arme, he doesn't have Time Walk anymore. Frostbitten, blasted by the plasma field. Arme's going to jump across and he'll back up. Ever so close to finding the takedown on the Void as Facepian arrives with the Exorcism and nothing to say. In on top of Sumail, and Shinkyu arriving, should be able to find a kill on the Razor. A big one for LGD if they can finish it off. Sumail so speedy though, and with another link in the body blocks from the Treants, nothing to say with a shield crash. At long last gets the takedown, and Nigma lose 3 heroes.
PSG LGD brings everybody down. They understood we need to save Ame, and Ame TPs to the top lane immediately without having no Chronosphere. Like, his contribution was not there. Getting the time walk off and managing to survive. Big W for PSG LGD. Nigma, a bit greedy. They wanted to get more, getting behind enemy lines. They still took the tower. That's something that we mentioned. They will be able to defend their towers. Top lane, harassment, forcing him to use the time walk.
Nigma now with that wide open space, right? They're able to control the bottom jungle with the tier 1 mid and bottom gone. And Miracle's also farming Radiant Triangle. We've talked about this a lot recently, thinking about the resources on the map of Dota 2. It's not about necessarily being fully efficient on your side, farming your jungle, but taking things away from your opponents to limit their potential.
Because he feels relatively unkillable, I would say, without Exo. Maybe with the mana burn, once you get to that Diffusal Blade timing on Pango and bringing like 3 heroes, they should be able to bring him down, but it's gonna take a while. GH hiding in the trees.
Yeah, no
Kuro about to hit level 16, 1 CS.
Let's see if he can come in time. Oh, he does get it. Solar Guardian allows GH to survive. Nothing to say, blown up as Miracle arrives from the triangle back up to top lane and hunting Jinkyu down in the trees. No stuns here in towards Y, so a quick TP will allow his safety and return to Fountain.
I was looking at bottom. Literally, he needed 1 creep on Dawnbreaker to be able to get the ulti, and he gets it immediately. TPs, saves Kuro, and they get 2 kills. So this should also be a tower. This is something that we mentioned because they rely on cooldowns. Yeah, Rolling Thunder, not the longest, level 1, 80 seconds, but it's about the Exorcism, it's about this Chronosphere. So once they misuse their Chrono, I feel like Nigma is just gonna go, when I say misuse, even if they get a kill or 2, they're still not gonna be able to contest Roshan, because Nigma Galaxy, they have all the tools. Yeah, look at the heat map. A little bit in enemy triangle, a little bit here, and Ame just made it 1 big spot. Like 1 big blue dot. He has not moved so far. TP to the top lane for a little bit and then move to the bottom.
Miracle creating that barrier in front of his own jungle.
Nigma will hit big timings with this Aghanim Scepter about to be done in 1500 gold. I feel like PSG LGD, they need to take 1 fight before that, because Diffusal Blade is about to be finished in 200 gold, Chronosphere and Exo is up.
Oh, that's huge, yeah. 7.6k net worth on Miracle. A massive performance coming out of him on the bristleback. 7,700 total.
I want to go back to the point that I was trying to make, but you stopped me. There were things.
I'm sorry.
No. Yeah, you needed to hype it up. Let's see about this one.
Force the roll.
Big one. Use the Rolling Thunder.
But you see that physical damage
Mid
from
lane,
Miracle.
Razor in trouble, has haste.
Yeah,
but
it's got dispelled. Enchantress slows him down with a freezing field. GH, he lets it go. Why? Chased down by the Dawnbreaker, slammed into the ground, and Faith Beyond with Jin-Q trying to run back to the high ground, but look who's waiting for them. It's Mind Control with a Solar Guardian. They can't get the Marcy though. She's out. They want the Faith Beyond DP instead. In comes the Swash. Faith Beyond, nothing to say, bursting through them, and Miracle, he's nearly dead with the bristleback, keeping him alive ever so barely. Slipping out of danger while Mind Control is left stranded.
This is the fight that I wanted to mention. Like, go in. They didn't even commit with the Chronosphere because they're gonna hit like a little earlier timing. That Prophet almost 4,000 damage in that fight, allowing him to survive with the Yule Scepter. Like he doesn't have a single like tanky item on Fate Beyond. It's just the Yule Scepter, but he had the Spirit Siphon charges in that fight, which did enable him to survive. So. Still pretty good. Faceless Void does have Maelstrom right now. Still Chronosphere ready. So even if Nigma Galaxy decides to go inside Roshan with the Aghanim Scepter on Bristleback about to be completed 900 gold, PSG LGD will still take that fight.
Yeah, it's absolutely disruptive as well, knowing that Nigma want to be using these timings and continuing the steamroller that they've built up to continue charging forward. Having a team fight win as LGD there might bust Nigma's morale a little bit, but you've got to realize they'll pick themselves up and understand they've got to keep this moving forward. Mind Control sat up top currently, being eyed up by Jin-Q, but he doesn't have any teammates nearby currently. Killing off a Hellbear that's slapping his tower.
Sumail died 3 times in this game. Like, ideally, you would want to have Bristleback Ags and Razor's BKB synced up, because that would be your big timing. They might still wait until Sumail has a BKB, just so that he doesn't get burned. I think he was baiting there on a mid lane, but maybe underestimated positioning of Enchantress to be able to dispel that haste.
Is Y just sending creeps to every tower? He sends a Hellbear top, he's sending creeps down to bottom, he's like backdooring towers non-stop with this Enchantress. Been a little bit naughty. Dire Glyph comes out. Maybe thinking about a play into mid, stopping Faith Beyond from farming freely anyway. Now DP heading into a BKB of her own, but Sumail out in the open in the river. Speedy enough to get up the staircase. And Mind Control currently just holding objectives. I think you're right, they are very stalwart just sitting in front of their objectives, making sure that LGD don't have any freebies while they're waiting for this Aghanim Scepter and BKB synchronized timing.
Still PSG LGD, they will be ready to strike back. Exorcism is level 2, so 2 times more damage. Thinking about going Oname.
He's being frostbitten. Chrono defensively once more, and the Dawnbreaker's Solar Guardian lands. But he's got Time Walk again in a couple of seconds. Mind Control spots him, sprouts him. In the fog, we go with Arme now. Celestial Hammer to close the gap, and the body blocks from the tree and allows another Frostbite. The Faceless Void destroyed by Nigma.
Not only did they manage to get a kill, they also managed to bait the Chronosphere. So, so far, in terms of Chronosphere usage, I believe this is the second one. We still haven't seen the full potential of it with Exorcism running and then going in and dealing damage. I think it's time for Nigma to go inside the Roche pit and force a fight.
And we were talking at the start of this about how LGD reacts, responds to this aggression from Nigma. And so far, it's been to run away and defensively use your spells. Why? Chased down by the Bristleback, Jin-Q and Faith Beyond. I don't know if you can fight into this. You Ghost and you Unleash, sure, they'll do a little bit of damage here and there. But with Kuroki's arrival and Sumail and GH closing the gap in towards them, the Nigma Galaxy side have the advantage. Great roll in, but they're struggling to get a kill. Finally, Miracle falls, but look at Sumail go. Clears through Faith Beyond. Jin-Q will follow him into the grave, and nothing to say, has to TP home.
Miracle took one for the team. He decided to go in just so that the rest of the PSG LGD chases him, and still a pretty good trade. So Exorcism down for 2 minutes. It's all about paying attention on these big ultis for PSG LGD. Someone needs to time it, because they will have every single time like a minute, even more than a minute, to be able to react, get some stuff going on the map or force Roshan.
You see that, the big difference between those cooldowns. And we saw that bottom tier 2 getting destroyed by the little treants, right? Unlocking the outpost in that bottom jungle for them. Oh man, we nearly have a BKB on the Maiden as well. She's going to be able to just stand there.
Crystal Maiden rushing a BKB. She's going to have it after this wave.
That's incredible, pre-20 minutes. Shard and Blink, of course, going to be coming up quickly afterwards.
Precious bounty.
But we've already seen GH's freezing field and how much damage, but it's not just the damage, but DP wants to chase, Pango wants to chase, Void wants to, they've got all these heroes that want to keep chasing heroes. Freezing field just doesn't allow you to do that.
15 seconds until Chronos, 60 until Exorcism is back online. I don't think PSG LGD can contest this one.
And they see Arme.
Arme might try to go for a steal play.
Well, they see him, they know that Arme's nowhere nearby.
He's not gonna TP, they don't have a tier 1 tower there, they don't have a tier 1 tower on the mid lane, and the rest of like, look at the 2 supports from Nigma Galaxy, covering every entrance where they could possibly get from. Get inside and try to do something about it.
One of those clever things where it's like, hey, Miracle, you've been farming enemy engines for a while, do you think Arme's gonna try it? Let's ward there and see what he's up to. They knew exactly where the Faceless Void was, and nothing to say. Running it back as Miracle, Sumail and the gang invading bottom jungle. Nothing really objective-wise to claim here, so yeah, they change tact and move in towards mid. A big old Treant, greater Treant. Such a beautiful red face.
I like what Karo's doing. He's playing this Dawnbreaker 5, and he understands where like the real threat is going to come from. Disarm potentially on Razor, silence, and also time dilation on Bristleback. So he wants to be able to enable his team with all of this stuff.
It's not the gliding there. He's going straight Mjolnir there. Oh, look at him! Oh, I just want to squeeze his cheeks. Beautiful little fellas.
I guess the reason why he's going for Mjolnir this time around is, yeah, the Ghost, so it's gonna proc a lot more, like even time dilation. On top of that, Pango, he does tend to get a lot of instances of damage in the team fight.
Is this where, I don't know, do you consider like a blade mail on a DP? Because there's so much spill damage from Razor, Bristle, the Mjolnir.
I don't think that item is viable right now.
Okay.
This is a good one. He's also going for Lotus Orb. Oh, mid.
Hello! Who have we got here? Mind Control, healed up by the Solar Guardian, and GH, he's just going to straight up BKB freezing field. Y says goodbye to the world of the living. Jinkyu dead to Sumail as well.
It's very difficult for PSG LGD to commit even to one of the supports. Like, they try to go on Crystal Maiden, he pops a BKB, you know that there's going to be big Round of Nature coming in, potentially TP, and also ulti. Ooh, that's big damage. Still does not want to commit. 3 minutes faster than Dispatch fastest. I mean, this is GH we're talking about. He's been involved in 14 out of 18 kills.
Oh, really?
Yeah, very active on Crystal Maiden.
Incredible. Hey, what does LGD do to try and come back from this? Is it like they just try and wait out Aegis? Do they want to go for a team fight with Exo and Chronos ready?
PSG LGD. Like, we need to talk about them getting a perfect Rolling Thunder, because there's still nothing that can stop the Rolling Thunder in the fights. You still need to respect damage from the Bristleback. It's pretty similar to like Medusa, where the damage becomes overwhelming at one point, because if you're in a fight for that long, the quill sprays, they're gonna stack up. Problem is, there's gonna be so much chaos in the front line. Razor with the BKB, using the static link, forcing you to drop an ulti, potentially like forcing them to use this Chronosphere in a way that they don't want to, and then Nigma Galaxy has like pretty free opening into the team fight.
What's wrong, JJ? What have you seen?
He's showing the shard that Crystal Maiden has queued up. So you can move, cast spells during the freezing field. Crystal Maiden doesn't need to be afraid of anything once she picks up the shard, other than Chrono. So you have BKB, and you also have 20 extra armor against the Dead Prophet's Ghost. So you should feel almost invulnerable if you're not caught inside the Chrono.
Miracle. I'm going to come and clear out this top wave, helped out by the Treants. Y getting TP'd on. No stuns, I don't believe.
Oh, now he misses. That was not the Mjolnir. It was the Gleipnir.
A little bit slower on the DP's BKB, not by much.
That's why they're losing those
average.
16 seconds on average. And we see 50 seconds faster on Bristleback. He was thinking about going for a different item build, SNY on Bristle, but seems like BKB being able to dispel things on his own, not just relying on Dawnbreaker to be able to get it.
And his backpack for now, but can switch that in for the Aegis when it expires in about 45 seconds. LGD just trying to find pockets of farm where they're reasonably safe. Mind control, time dominated, double bashes, but a Solar Guardian not going to help him. Still dead. Arme has to BKB to TP home, and nothing to say rolling out there as well.
Sumail getting a ton of farm on his Razor, about to finish Refresher, so double BKB, double static link, getting tons of levels as well. We're talking about, you know, getting that level 20, potentially getting level 25 as well. 30 seconds left on Bristleback's Aegis, and yeah, his next item, pretty natural progression, I would say, going for full Abyssal Blade and the Basher to be able to deal with these split pushes. BKB TPs out to double damage here. It's getting scouted.
Oh, the Pango wanted it. He's going to roll up and try to TP. The Star Break.
Wow,
not
actually
quite
gets it.
Gets home. Hey, Jinkyu, he came in to save his buddy, not needed. Pays the ultimate price while his courier dying to quill sprays and hits for a miracle. Flies over the treetops. But LGD just getting pushed further and further back. You can feel this map shrinking for them. The net is closing in around them. And Nigma continue to fish for any targets they can find in the open. It's been a superb show in here. And there's that refresher orb for Razor that you talked about. They should be ready to just continue this tempo.
This is big. If Nigma can bait one of the big spells, either Exorcism or Faceless Void ulti, also having buyback on heroes like Nature's Prophet or Dawnbreaker if ulti is available could be pretty big. Lotus Orb finished on Kuroki, so that's going to be a good way to deal with the silences, Spirit Siphon, Disarms, Time Dilation, whatever you want to call it.
That was close, wasn't it? 3 minutes and 23.
1 second.
1 second
it's
away.
All we needed.
Hey, could you fudge the numbers, please, and just remove a second off the back of that? Well, it's found in his own jungle. Okay, the Observer says no. Statistical integrity more important than memes, apparently.
We just wanted you to contribute to meme society today.
Yeah. Meme culture, incredible. He's actually just like watching bottom lane. He's face palming right now, isn't he? You can tell. Shut up, you idiots. Jinkyu scanning top. They know someone's here. It's still red. And Mind Control, jumps straight up upon Arme with a perfect read of where he is. I don't know if that Solar Guardian is going to do anything apart from give away another kill. Kuroki's launched himself into death. This is pretty decent, bro. You need to get a double kill on Jinkyu. But the fact that now Nigma are down 2 heroes for 40 seconds means that tempo slowed.
I wanted to see Nigma play a bit more aggressive once they picked up this refresher. Maybe they thought we need a basher on Bristleback. Not sure if that was a thing there, but yeah, they are losing a little bit in terms of the net worth. So basher is coming on Bristle. They did give them a couple of extra kills. Maybe they want to drag this game for another minute or two until Roshan respawns and then take a fight, prioritizing potentially Aegis, but PSG LGD, they will be ready to fight this time around.
Yeah, and I guess one of the ideas there is if you bring a couple of heroes, LGD might expect more, and maybe if you force a BKB, force a Chrono or Exorcism, as we have seen, that's going to delay.
Am is pretty big in terms of levels, level 21, higher level than Bristleback, and now he has that level 20 OP talent, 120 attack speed during Chronosphere, so there's always going to be damage. And also I see him going for Mjolnir, so that's going to be a lot of procs as well when we talk about the Bristleback. Some other talents that are getting close that could potentially change things around. Still, Mind Control a little bit under level, but Sprout Leashes is going to be the big one. Still needs 4 levels. Has BKB coming to him, so that's also a big item. On the other side, that Prophet's still far away from Lotus Orb. Bangalore did finish off Lincoln Sphere, so that's going to be way of protecting himself with potential like frostbite, and also throwing that onto Ame. Just because if you take away his damage, the good thing about this damage build from Ame is, yeah, Mjolnir, a lot of procs, a lot of attack speed. So even if your like physical damage gets stolen, you still deal magical damage.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It was one of the ways to like try to counter. I remember one specific game where Troll Warlord playing against Razor did build MKB.
We were casting it.
We were casting it. Yeah.
He rushed it straight up. I think we're Skitter. I can't quite remember. I think it was incredible. Oh, LGD smoked up, knowing that it's around Roshan respawn time. They want to try and force something here.
Yeah, good positioning from Nigma. They put the high ground forward, and GH also in a position to be able to break the smoke potentially.
Oh, he's in a great spot. And Miracle kind of face tanky.
They ping it out. Like you could see who's orange. It's Y. So yeah, he knows exactly. Glyph forced out. Some Treants causing a little bit of issue here in the bottom lane.
In comes Ame though. Kroll, the BKB, gets it off in time. Let's see if Sumail can survive. The Solar Guardian giving him a bit more life. In comes Kuro. Sumail about to drop though. Ame and Faith Beyond focus him down. Dispose on the Dawnbreaker too. In comes Miracle though. Chase them back. Big physical damage hits from him onto GQ, and Mind Control sprouting Faith Beyond. The buyback out of Kuro and Sumail, forcing the fight near this Roshan pit is going to get them the takedown on the DP. Oh, I don't know if they can get any more though. A stun, the frostbite comes. 3 down on LGD's side, and Roshan still 40 seconds away.
And this is a freebie for them. This is what we talked about, you know, just to be able to have buybacks on their side. This is how you counter big teamfight ultis near the Roche pit. So yeah, 30 seconds. They still have time to potentially like take a fight, take a 3-3 tower. Shinkyu with the buyback. Ame easy in and out with the shard.
Forcing it here with another buyback out of the DP. They dispose Miracle. He's still tanky, and GH will zone them away with the freezing field. His
That's
BKB
a big one.
The kill on
Needs
GQ
another
is
one.
coming. Sumail, he'll find it. A dieback on Marcy. Ame back in, but he's stunned up. He's been chain disabled. Ame's down.
Buybacks immediately.
Nothing to say. He's trying to roll up and chase them back. Nigma wants to retreat. Reset time for them. Give away the life of Kuroki. No big deal, but he yules the profit.
He does have a buyback.
Ame will clear through with a triple kill on Wise Enchantress.
LGD pinging out Roshan immediately. So no buyback on Kuro, because he did use it in the previous game, but they do have 2 buybacks on their side.
And someone calling the hands as a DD rune spawned near Roshan.
Let's see how Nigma approaches this one. Do they just let it go, or they want to contest it?
It looks like they're just going to allow LGD to take it.
They were a bit greedy. Maybe if they left one Treant inside the pit, fall back into Roche. Miracle going in.
But he's being rolled on by the Pango. He's in a 1v4. He's BKB'd up, chasing Y, but even with the backup of Sumail here, LGD are going to cruise towards them. Walk up the ramp, look towards Sumail. Refresh BKB comes out of the Razor now. Miracle. He's chasing back into Faith Beyond, aiming the DP as Ame wants Sumail real bad. Pops his one, but there's no way he can survive. He's gone. 100 seconds. And a chrono onto Miracle allows the Void to get in front of him. Nigma falling apart at the seams as LGD strike back with their big team fight ultis.
And also double damage here on the bottom lane. Ame did pick up the Aegis in that fight. I feel like Nigma needed to approach it a bit differently. Try to secure Roche instead of going for the tier 3 tower. They almost killed it, but this Roshan is what changes the game completely. Where's the shard at? Because Faceless Void did have it. They gave it to Dead Prophet. So another Spirit Siphon charge. They wanna go in and potentially end it. Let's see if they decide to go for. Oh yeah, it's being pinged out.
Yeah, they want to do it. They know there are limited buybacks on this dire team. I mean, Miracle doesn't have the money for it, but they also know there's going to be no Razor, no Dawnbreaker as they go for tier 4.
Still double damage running, the extra damage from the sidekick.
They want to finish this one off. MCGH, they can move forward with Kuroki, do a bit of chip damage here and there. Exorcism still going for a good 5-6 seconds, and the tier 4s are crumbling. Dispose on MC, they found the profit. He's got buyback available, but this freezing field stopped in its tracks by Ame and his Faceless Void. GH, your BKB's not going to save you here. Nothing to say, we'll find the takedown on him.
They're ready to close it out. Bristleback is out in 10 seconds. Does have to be BKB available once he comes out, but those bashes from both Faceless Void and Basher from Pango.
He sprouted the throne! Ow, mind control!
I'm getting the flashback alliance against Nigma.
Try every dirty trick in the book.
When they defended the throne was at like 20 HP. Seems like PSG LGD did know the need to back off a little bit. There are no creeps in the base.
They're spamping in it.
Glyph not available for Nigma.
And a 5v3 for another 20-30 seconds. Mid lane barracks going to be cracked wide open. Throne is out in the open, cold and exposed as Jinkyu. He's forced the BKB out of Miracle. Arme will time walk away. They're knowing that they can continue these fights. Now the BKBs are being expended so frivolously. And Marcy's got one being delivered soon as well.
And out, they're buying time.
I've got the damage, but they don't have the vision of the throne to actually kill it off. This game being delayed out. They just dispose of the damage in from Jinkyu. The Unleashin Army's right clicks. The Chrono onto
the backline's on two.
Mind control and Kuroki stuck
no
here.
No buyback on him.
And LGD surely now have this victory in the bag. One more takedown. GH respawns, but a lonely maiden can't do this.
In base, Crystal Maiden, the sole survivor, needs to be able to defend the throne.
Y will backtrack, clear out the wave, stop the treants from any more of this nonsense of wave cutting.
The Vambrace, the Vam Null to be able to get some extra damage going with the ulti. Let's see how that one goes.
His smoke breaks. Go on, GH, get in there, my son.
Oh, the courier play, dragging the creep wave back, trying to buy some extra time. But Exo's running it, they call it.
GG called, and PSG coming back into this game. It looks so good from Nigma up until that Roshan hit, where LGD defended their high ground, had the buyback advantage, and took that second Rosh away from them.
I wanted to see Nigma play a little bit aggressive with the advantage that they had, try to force a fight. It felt like they played so aggressive, and at one point they just stopped. Like they got, I think they gave too much credit to Faceless Void Chrono and Dead Prophet ulti. It's super strong combo, but maybe try to force one, try to force them to misuse it and then take a fight. Like Jinkyu on Marcy, I said it when the game started, like his itemization, this is the type of Marcy I want to see in the games where he gets the phase boots, gets the blink dagger, then goes for the BKB to be able to scale. You saw how much damage he deals, but also positioning yourself, because you blink in, you dispose, and then you get out of the fight. So you're not that tool that goes in and dies.
Yeah, one of those drafts from Enigma that if you do slow down, you know, you need so much more force and strength to build that momentum back up. You hit that wall, the inertia stops, and all of a sudden LGD, they are ready to hit back as we can head over towards the panel to talk about game one a little bit more.
Hello, welcome back to the Analyst Desk. Aramco highlights are playing on our screen as we just watched Nigma lose that first game. It was a rough one, that high ground push especially.
Yeah, it was a really close game. I think honestly, I think you know, the Dota was indeed delivered for that game. Many great sequences, many great plays. I think, you know, both teams really played their draft really well, honestly. Yep. Obviously, we knew that Nigma were going to be, LGD, sorry, were going to be a little bit more on the defensive, trying to, you know, slow down Nigma's aggression in the early game, which, you know, happened. Nigma played extremely aggressive, you know, won the lanes, transitioned that very well into the mid game. LGD hold on, and there was this very crucial Roshan fight that really turned the game. Maybe, you know, like decision making from Nigma to go high ground instead of going for the Rosh, and perhaps we'll break that down a little bit more, but thrilling game, honestly.
Yeah, definitely. I think Nigma, you know, bringing the tempo with that last pick, Bristle, the DP pick, really ended up working out as well, very nicely under the trustful hands of Faith Beyond. But what I really thought was, you know, we were speaking in the green room, and I was like, could the MP have considered a different item this game, right? Going straight into that Maelstrom when maybe they were thinking they needed a little bit more damage, more right-click damage and crowd control, and really it ended up kind of being the catch they needed.
Which we can see in our scoreboard brought to you by SDC.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. It felt like the mind control item build did not pay off. So obviously, you know, it's we're Captain hindsighting this. So
yeah, definitely.
You know, maybe he had an idea and it would have worked, but it didn't come into play. It definitely felt like there was something that was lacking a little bit, because LGD were able to kind of fight back, even though they were at a big drafting disadvantage, I would say, for that moment of the game, and just a big economy disadvantage because of how the laning phase went. But still, they were able to kind of you know, get a little bit, some trades, you know, some trade kills in the fights. We saw the pickoffs also on the Prophet especially. I'm thinking about the top lane, you know, they got my control several times. Kuroki trying to save him. All of these little things that it just bought time for Ame to come online.
Yeah, I mean, Nigma Galaxy at the same hand, you know, they did incredibly well. Miracle, right, farming in the enemy triangle. LGD smoke gank, buying time for Ame, as you say. And then Nigma used their kind of global lineup to really turn that smoke gank on its heels, right, kind of shutting down the early momentum of the Pangolier. But still, even on those first couple of fights, basically after the Fusel Blade come online, LGD, they string together the team fights and they just kind of run away from Pango, or sorry, not from Pango, from Bristle. He really had problems staying on top of his heroes, and it became just impossible for him as soon as the DP head shard.
I mean, they lack the saber, right, for the Bristle. Who is really going to lock down these heroes? It's not going to be the Razor. It's not going to be the Dawnbreaker. You have the one Frostbite from CM. That's why, you know, I'm thinking, you know, a Hex on Prophet, these kind of things. I mean, of course, you can always come back to the item builds, but there was definitely something that was, synergy-wise, lacking a little bit for Nigma's lineup to really close the game.
That's been the name of the game for Nigma for a while, the joke of the no-stun Kuro draft, right? But it's always been fixed, at least in this tournament, by the run-at-you nature of Nigma's draft. But these drafts don't allow for many errors, do they?
No, they really don't. And I mean, especially against LGD's lineup. Think about it. You know, your Bristleback, sure, you can keep killing this Marcy over and over again, but you need to deal with the Pango, and he's rolling away from you. You need to deal with the Death Prophet, you know, kind of max movement speed, running around with Exo. You need to kill the Faceless Void, but he's BKB'd, and he's just jumping in and out. It's just difficult, right? So, you know, and they really had to find these pickoffs, these key pickoffs on the course to transition into the objectives that were actually going to win the game.
Yeah, and perhaps that's what, you know, that was the mentality of Nigma when they pushed up to the high ground, that we have to force objectives, we have to just get in there and fight. They didn't want to take even a second to slow down and look for Roche, just by committing a couple of buybacks there, crucially, right, on Sumail right after the refresher. So, you know, those kind of forced decision-making, right, LGD really applying the pressure and finding the weak spots, right, in that Nigma lineup and really squeezing them to the point where Nigma are going to break in game 1.
We also see the difference, I think, in execution. Yesterday we saw the matchup, the DP position 3 versus the Bristle position 1, and yesterday the Bristle got quite bullied. DP had an incredible game, and I think for the laning phase here it was really much different. And this one you see also, you know, difference in execution between players. Faithian was struggling a lot during the laning phase. Miracle had like the perfect game. I think he even had a stat where he was like one of the highest net worth in the whole tournament. But yeah, I mean, DP will always end up, you know, kind of, if she gets a game, being a good hero against Bristle, and we felt it. We felt it in the mid game.
Yeah, and that percentage-based damage. Also, of course, the DP, something that LG always does really well, right? That somehow you realize, oh, it's a good counter to Bristle. Also, that combo with the Chrono was always set up from the beginning. That synergy is never missing from LGD. Sometimes that might be missing from the Nigma lineup a little bit more. What can we expect from them in the second game to make sure that this doesn't happen again?
I mean, I think there's a couple of different ways they could really look to approach this, right? It was perhaps from the itemization, right, in this kind of lineup. I think they did well in the draft. They had an ideology behind it, and especially this is something that LGD have shown a couple of times, even this tournament versus Secret, that they're willing to have some weaker lanes and rely on their execution and just team fight to kind of get them into that mid-game stage where Ame is just a complete beast and they're able to find the fights, right? I think if you draft a little bit more even earlier tempo and play with that timing specifically in mind, you might be able to really exploit that weakness that LGD are not keen to show, but have shown.
Yeah, this is where Nigma, they're kind of at a crossroad, and they need to try to analyze well really what really happened in that game, because they could feel a little bit like, hey, we need heroes that scale better, you know. At some point, these Voids and these Death Prophet, they scale too well, and we're stuck with these Bristles and Razors, and it doesn't work. But at the end of the day, was it really the problem? Didn't they have a real opportunity to close the game? So shouldn't they kind of keep doing what they did, even though they lost the game, or do they want to kind of, you know, switch things around just because they feel bad that they lost?
Well, we learn from mistakes. They might have not been able to close the game, but we are able to close this panel on a quick break, and we'll come back with Game 2 between Nigma and PSG LGD.
مع التحديث الجديد لستي سي بلاي، تجربة جديدة للكل. لو جوك دايم تحديات، نافس وانضم للبطولات، استكشف الشات والتايم لاين، وتسوق من متجر التطبيق. الليدر بورد على تفاعلك بالتطبيق، والجوائز الأسبوعية والشهرية على نظام النقاط تنتظرك. ستي سي بلاي، مهما كان جوك، هذا محلك.
عايز تترجم راب؟ تعالى لي. ملوك الصين دي انا ملخصها في سطور، بس مين يقرا؟ فاهم؟ كلام الشارع ده انا هرشه كل المجال حبايبي. بروز.
وانا كاكازوكو مصدع ايه ابكي نظرة لو على الحلاوة عندي كاستر والاسم
عفرت يا عفرت، هتفضل معفرتها ولا ايه يا برو؟
انت مين يا هو ازاي ده دخل هنا يا جدعان؟
نكسر الدنيا الاول وبعدين نتكلم، نعيد من الاول.
لا 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 مش مسجل.
اخواتي
عشان فاهمين السين، سبوتيفاي عمل لك بلاي ليست الاقوى راب مصري، اسمع ملوك السين ببلاش.
Welcome back. Game 2 is upon us, but we're still talking about the game number 1 between PSG and LGD versus Nigma, because we've talked about how this series will evolve, and as Seb, you pointed out in the beginning, this is the wings draft, right? You tried something completely new, you never tried it in the tournament, and now we're going to see how Nigma responds to it in the second game.
And it worked, right? I think they were, you know, the team that beat the Razor the most convincingly and with really unorthodox heroes, and
Yes.
and it really worked wonders. And that is the strength of these teams going into the tournament. They will break. They have the ability to break anything, you know, tactically in Dota, and we've seen it this game. And yeah, it's gonna change a lot of things for the rest of the tournament, I'm pretty sure.
Richie, you actually spoke about this strategy because they played in the CNDPC. Could you explain us a little more about what happened there and why you think it's good?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just always been like a first pick material here for LGD, right? I think they like a lot the tempo, the timings as well, right? The BKB heroes, the refresher meta still not as strong, right, with that 90-second cooldown, but refresher's still as good as it's really ever been. So that kind of forces a lot of fights early. It can be a little bit uncomfortable for teams to you know, kind of fight into that powerful timing when you have a lot of 2 or 3 item cores that aren't really quite there. I think as well, because LGD plays so much with it, they also recognize the weaknesses and know how to exploit them as well, right? We saw like constant Chronospheres just onto Sumail, ensuring that the Faceless Void, you know, was never going to get linked inside of Chrono. It's just way too many issues for him. So I think their target priority and the focus fire and everything, right, against the Razor also worked out very well, thanks to LGD's knowledge.
I mean, it really came down to very little things. I think both teams played an exceptional game, you know, for both their lineup, how they executed it, how they drafted. Yeah, this is what happens when 2 really big teams go full force against each other, and it really came down to, you know, the clutch things, the decision making, the buybacks. Do we go Roche, do we go high ground? And then all of a sudden the game turns from being dead even to over 3 minutes later, because these teams know how to find an opening and how to exploit it fully.
Exactly. And we'll see what the plan is now for the second game, because once again, there can't be any openings for Nigma if they want to go for the same strat. And now that's my question. Richie, do you think that Nigma is going to be trying out to the same fast strat again?
I don't know. I mean, there was just like something that didn't quite click there, right? Bristle and Razor both kind of want to do the same thing, right? They want to run at heroes and abuse their item timings, right? Acceptor specifically on the Bristle, and then BKB, and then again Refresher on Razor. Problem is, neither of them really possess the catch. You know, yeah, they've got some decent slows, but as soon as BKBs, Dispels, and Mobile Cores are online, like, there's just really no chance for these guys, right? So they could maybe try and do that again, and then if they do, they need probably a little bit more control on the rest of their lineup.
I'm sure they hoped for like a Lion or Rasta. Somebody X this void, please. I swear I will kill him in 3 hits. Just do it for me. You know. But then they're stuck with a CM, a Dawnbreaker, a Prophet. You know, with Mjolnir. Nobody can really do that. And yeah, I mean, your point is very true. It's like Razor was strong enough to take over the fight. So was Bristle. But it's overkill. You know, you don't need to kill 10 heroes at this point. You only needed to kill 5, and they could do that. They just needed a little bit more help to lock them down so that they could dish out the damage.
And now I would like to talk about this opening that they had here, this specific opening at the high ground push. We actually have a special segment prepared for you guys here. You know, previously Danag's been our weatherman, but as they say, you have a weatherman, nous avons un météorologue.
That was very well put, very good French actually, much better than my first illustration, but I'm gonna try to, you know, have a better shot at it. I mean, what's really important though about this sequence is that I think this is definitely the turning point of the game. At that point there was a big Roche fight, and Nigma did use several buybacks to try to salvage the Roche fight, and as you can see, they make here the decision that is really common in Dota. They end up going for the high ground push instead of, you know, waiting for the Roche that is actually about to respawn in just 29 seconds, as you can see here. And you know, this is a classic decision that is quite important in Dota. Do you go Roche into high ground, or do you go high ground into Roche? And as you can see, Sumail ball back, Kuroki ball back, Nigma go for the high ground push. And it's a very intense moment of the game, because they could win the fight on the high ground, get the racks, and go back to Roche. And LGD, you can see their decision making, instant buyback from the Marcy. They want to take the fight because they know that if there is any chance they win this fight, the Roche will be theirs and the game will probably be over from there. And I want to really emphasize on Ame particularly decision making, because you might have thought that Ame's bad, Ame made a really big mistake by dying on the Void, but I actually think it was very conscious what he did, and he baited Nigma into a game losing situation. So if you look at it, LGD here, they're kind of looking at the fight, they're poking, they start engaging on the Bristle, rightly so, and you're gonna see here, Nigma, they get to disengage. Very good ulti from TH, he gets the kill on Xingqiu, that's gonna die back, and at this point, Nigma is like, alright, guys, we cannot commit too many resources, and we want to disengage. Ame wants to bait them back in. He goes in, gets stunned right away, he's gonna die, but he has buyback ready. And this is what's gonna happen now. Dies, buys back, they will take the follow-up fight. And for Nigma, this is such an important moment of the game. They lose this fight, it's going to happen, die without buyback, lose the Roche, lose the entire game. So, you know, big plays, sometimes you gotta commit, you gotta sacrifice something in order to win the game, which is what Ame did, and I think that literally won them the game. So yeah, on to that. Gonna look at how they approach game 2, but definitely a big moment of the game and definitely big plays between these big players.
Thank you very much, Seb. Now we have him back on the panel. This time we didn't get him to magically teleport with us because we are ready for draft for game 2. About to begin any second now. Any expectations for these first bans, gentlemen?
It's all about the Razor, right?
Yeah, it seems to be right at this stage. I think I was a little bit surprised as well. I don't remember if Tiny got a ban in the last game. I'll have to remember that, but that's always
no. I don't think it did. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I'm gonna check it, but pretty sure it got ignored. It's like there's a lot of heroes that these guys prioritize anyway, right? You can't really be everywhere.
It did get ignored. Yeah, completely.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And what do we have?
First picking a Nyx now.
That's quite interesting.
That is interesting.
I mean, you could look at it as being a block pick. I mean, the big information is the Razor ban, right? Nigma, they snatched it in the first game. It did not really work in their favor. I don't think it's a hero they necessarily like over other heroes. As we mentioned for game 1, it was more of a block pick. It kind of, you know, two bird, one stone kind of thing. And now they go away from it. They ban it. And yeah, I think they're just going to be looking at playing a little bit more of their comfort zone. And think about the Nigma heroes, for instance. You know, they love their Dawnbreaker. They've picked it a lot. They first faced it a lot throughout the tournament. LGD, we said, they're maybe not so comfortable, but Nyx is a block pick to Dawnbreaker.
Yeah.
Right? You feel much worse picking it into the Nyx.
Yeah, exactly. I think if you look at a lot of the drafts from LGD, you'll see not so much in the first phase, potentially bans for Dawnbreaker, but definitely second phase, you see that familiar face pop up for them. So yeah, exactly. Deny pick. They actually banned it against Nigma last series, in the game 1 draft as well in the second phase. Nigma have been picking it pretty consistently through the tournament. So.
And I wonder, even if you maybe even second guess the Zeus? I think it goes both ways, but Nyx is a really good hero at locking down the Zeus, with the Heavenly Jump now being like an AoE damage spell, and the Carapace being really effective against that. Okay, they still go for the Zeus, but we've seen Nigma do the Dawnbreaker Zeus the entire tournament. And because of the first pick Nyx, they actually went away from the Dawnbreaker, and now LGD kind of pushed them a little bit out of their comfort zone. They end up going for the Wyvern and the Zeus, but it's much different, right? Because the Dawnbreaker is fully flexible, the Wyvern is not.
Yep.
Or at least Nigma has not shown yet that they're willing to flex it on Sumail.
That's very true. They probably are going to be quite happy to get their hands on it, though. It is a very much a winning hero for Nigma that LGD also enjoyed banning in the second phase, so they will shift priorities towards picking up that hero a bit sooner. Just from kind of glancing through drafts, no, it's still actually a pretty normal first phase as well for Nigma, to be
It's a
completely
hero
honest.
that they like.
Yeah.
I think the big difference is, you know, if you were to run a Wyvern Zeus support combination, it comes with a lot of downsides.
Yeah.
These are heroes that are pretty bad at rotating, bad at killing early on in the game. You know, obviously you don't have the curse yet, so all you have really to work with is some slows and a little bit of nuke damage. I feel like the core heroes, they have to make up for it. And we go for another Ember. Okay, I mean, this is interesting. We've seen LGD, they have picked this Ember. I think it was against Secret Zeus, and they got completely dumpstered.
Yeah.
Ember, I think, has one of the worst win rate in the entire tournament right now. I think it's probably, even if you look at the amount of games played versus the amount of losses, it's probably the worst core hero of the tournament. It might not mean much yet, but this just shows a lot of confidence from LGD. It's like, you know, it was just a bad day. We still believe in the Ember versus the Zeus, and we're willing to push it.
Okay. We've also seen a pick that now has gone ignored in this first phase. I know that LGD love a lot. Richie, it's the Warlock here.
Oh yeah, it's actually still ignored.
Yep.
Yeah, that might end up being a ban. I think the somewhat dangerous part about that is that your support duo Nyx Warlock, that doesn't seem all too bad, to be completely honest.
No, I quite like it actually.
Yeah.
You know, Nyx is the kind of hero that kind of starts the fight but lacks a little bit of damage. He wants follow-up. He wants the Warlocks and the Phoenix of the world to kind of help him win the fight that he started for you.
Yeah,
so
and they kind of complement each other, right?
Yeah.
Some good vision, like you're saying on the Nyx. Warlock has the cast range, but usually not the vision.
And it's
Ember
the same with the Ember. Think about the Fatal Bond into the Ember AoE. That is crazy good.
Yep. Fatal Bonds here. No dispels either on this Nigma or Zeus hero either.
Yep.
So that's currently still going to be potentially problematic for Enigma to deal with.
It's definitely a hero that would fit very well LGD's lineup, especially because, you know, one of the way to maybe abuse Warlock a little bit is use the fact that he's not so good at rotating around, right?
Yeah.
You're not worried, watch out, Warlock is missing. Warlock is missing. Nobody cares that Warlock is missing. What is he going to do realistically? Is he going to gank you?
He's going to golem you from fog,
a
right?
mighty Shadow Word from the fog. It's like, no, he ganked me again. That doesn't happen. So what I mean is, like, when you have supports that are passive and happy to sit on the lane, such as Zeus and Wyvern, you know, Warlock is fine with that. That's what he does. He actually enjoys sitting on the lane. Zeus is gonna harass you. Warlock is gonna out heal the damage that Zeus or Wyvern would do.
Sure.
So it's a perfectly fitting game for Warlock, in my opinion. Whereas you play Warlock versus these heavy gankers, such as a Clockwork or an Ench. No, it's like your mid laner's dying because of the ganks, and there's not much you can do about it.
Yeah, that's a good point, right? I think one definitely downside of Zeus or Wyvern, regardless of their positions, is they're a little bit more dependent on their cooldowns, or like they've got longer cooldowns, right? So does the Warlock. He's got still one of the longest ulti cooldowns in the entire game on that chaotic offering. So you know, into the tinies, maybe he's now a consideration, right?
Yeah.
You know, kind of to maybe if Warlock is still on the table for LGD, you know, a hero that just likes to fight a lot faster.
Kuro's just, you know, doing another one of his infamous no stuns lineup so far. I'm really hoping that we're gonna see some stuns in the second phase.
Yeah.
You know, I think LGD, you know, they're banning the monkey, great ban. Obviously, you know, one of the few core heroes that gives you a stun, synergizes really well with the Wyvern. You know, think about the curse as being a setup for the Wukong. Also, monkey does get the Jingu stacks against embrace targets, so that's also something that can kind of, you know, play against you when you're trying to do that. But anyways, I mean, the second phase here is going to be super important, I feel, for Nigma. They have to find the heroes that are going to truly enable these supports, because these supports, they can look really underwhelming with the wrong cores, and with the right cores, they can look deadly.
That's very true. Yeah, Nigma right now, when they look to want to start fights, they're very strong. And there's the tiny.
That's perfect.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah, heavy stuns. One thing to mention, I think MC is actually open to the idea of playing a Zeus position 3. I do not know if it's a pub game thing or if it's an official. I cannot remember. I just know that he can be looking at the hero potentially. So maybe this is a little bit more flexible than what we would normally give it credit for.
Do you think that Nigma also values the Ember as a counter to the Zeus? Do you think they also see it that way?
Probably. It's definitely something they could be looking at. Tiny has a much better matchup against the, Tiny Core can also be quite interesting here. I mean, it's a hero that really doesn't care about Nyx. The second he sees him, he just bursts him down, and the Carapace then does not come as a threat whatsoever. Probably much better matchup against the Ember than the Zeus would be. It's definitely a possibility.
Here's the DP again for PSG LGD. That Warlock still in the pool. We'll see if that's going to be the next pick though, but that DP...
It's quite good against Tiny Core, potentially. Also, I think decently good against Wyvern, I want to say, right? One of the heroes that really doesn't really care much about Curse. She does a lot of damage, but not to her allies. Like, Exo is not going to turn. It's not going to get affected by the Curse. She has very little right-click damage, and just, what DP really does is she runs you down, and Wyvern really hates that. Phoenix.
Yeah, some very weak egg hitters, right? Tiny infamously so, 0 agi gain.
Literally none.
Yeah, so that's going to be quite
There's the
concerning.
egg hitter.
Yeah, but there is indeed the egg scrambler. It's still the Nyx assassin, right? So the lane is fairly favored for the Nyx. Simply wait for the Carapace. Wait for the Blood Rite to appear, and then Carapace last second to make sure you can return that pure damage.
I love the Phoenix pick. I think it's very similar to what Warlock would have done. He sits on the lane, he brings an immense amount of team fight, immense amount of damage, synergizes really well with... He just enables heroes like Nyx and Ember that are going to be setting up the fight for you and are going to lack damage. Then Phoenix DP, they kick in and they deal with that part. I mean, I like the Bloodseeker pick. I think it's interesting, Rupture versus DP. It's annoying for DP.
Sure.
Obviously, Bloodseeker, very good hero at killing the egg, good hero at threatening the Phoenix from afar, Try to silence him, it doesn't happen. You chill, it happens, you go in, you kill him during the silence duration. At the same time, as you mentioned, I think that the Nyx, both the Nyx and the Ember actually, are really good heroes at locking down Bloodseeker. That's what you need against Bloodseeker, right? You need a stun to kill him, because he's always kind of hasted. These three heroes, they do it really well.
Yeah, I mean, Ember, of all the brothers, he has probably the least problems getting away when he's ruptured. It doesn't bother him extremely, especially because he can have a safety remnant back. So that seems pretty good. Right now, though, as far as like the support game goes, I slightly favor like Enigma's supports, just slightly, because they've got a lot of heroes to grant vision right between the Zeus, so you can try and find the Zeus and even the Bloodseeker, right, with the Blood Rite to provide vision, try and find this Phoenix and take him very quickly out of the fight between a Zeus or even a Tiny jump in. I really do like that. Whereas, finding the Wyvern with the Nyx, normally not that hard, but into a Zeus in any role is going to be a little challenging, I think.
I think once again we see the two styles clashing, because I look at how the fight might develop in these games, and right now I really want to heavily favor LGD. I feel like they're going to have a much easier way to take the fights. It's even looking a little bit scary for Nigma, if you want my honest opinion. But yet again, Nigma, they're looking at other things. They have very, very strong laners in the Bloodseeker, in the Zeus, the Tiny. I mean, not only laners, but like how the early game's gonna go. It's much easier to impact the game with a Zeus, a Tiny running around than like with a Phoenix, for instance, or Death Prophet. These heroes, that's not what they strive at. So we're once again gonna see this clash of playstyle and ideas on how Dota should be played these days.
Final pick of CK, which will give him a little bit more laning phase as well, but still a really strong mid-game carry and usually pretty decent against Bloodseeker. Has one more lockdown to add to the pool.
Yeah, pretty good against the Tiny as well, right? It's the 0- armor strat. You just get right in there on top of him. Tiny hates being jumped first. He would much rather do the jumping. Hero that can blow up a Wyvern, a Zeus with great ease, and doesn't really care for being silenced. But into the Dawnbreaker. It's the last pick, Dawn still even into the Nyx.
That's interesting. Into the Nyx, into the Phoenix also. I think Phoenix is a great matchup against Dawnbreaker, both on the lane and in the game. He just places the egg, and Dawnbreaker ulti cannot really turn that. Actually, he kind of sends himself into death, into a stun. I like the CK for enabling the Phoenix. I think Phoenix, what he needs is, early laning presence so that he doesn't grief the lane himself, and so that he can transition smoothly into the game. So, very good pick in my opinion. I mean, I like where this is heading for LGD. At the same time, this is perfect comfort zone for Nigma.
Right. Richie, this comfort zone, is it going to be enough? Do you think it actually counters the LGD style well here?
Well, I'd say, the CK is certainly not as weak and exploitable of the laner as, say, the Faceless Void was, so there is some concern there to be certain. And again, the catch between the Nyx and the teamfight follow-up from the CK could be very punishing because they kind of need all these heroes alive for Nigma, but the lanes, again, are looking quite favorable for them, even if they have still this Nyx Assassin to interrupt. It is their style. They could get it done.
Definitely. It's going to be interesting. I think both teams are a little bit adapting, they're kind of shifting up a little bit of what they did before, try to have less exposure to what the other team's throwing at them, so it's going to be a tight one.
Okay. We'll see who is capable of taking game 2 and if Nigma, more importantly, is capable of forcing a game 3. And to cast this great encounter, we have a classic combo. Bring it together, the cost.
That's right, here we are as Nigma changed things up a little bit. A lot of heals, a lot of reset tools for Nigma's draft. And LGD also mixing up a little bit. That CK for Arme as the last pick, a hero that has fallen out of favor a little bit recently, but LGD looking to bring it back.
Yeah, some slight adjustments from both of these teams. Nigma, again, having a little bit of more global presence with the Dawnbreaker, with the Zeus. Also, I've seen a lot of teams, not just in this tournament, but also previous DPC, trying to go for Zeus and the Bloodseeker, providing vision for the Bloodseeker so he can connect onto the target. And there are a couple of counter picks that we usually, like, it's the other way around that people do pick it, but yeah, panel mentioned about like Phoenix as well. Nothing that can kill the egg except the Bloodseeker. So these other 4 heroes are so-so. Also want to see what the build on Sumail is going to be, whether we're talking about the Echo Saber or it's going to be something that Mickey has done in one of the games. Blink into Aghanim Scepter straight away. Also, this was Dawnbreaker into Nyx Assassin.
Yeah.
So that's a bit of a tricky one. I don't know if they feel like they can burst him down immediately with the Zeus Tiny combo, because this is the mid-Tiny we're talking about. Also, like, I'm slightly favoring PSG LGD because of their like support duo, because Nyx, Phoenix, they do scale incredibly well. Not as strong in the first 10, 12, 15 minutes of the game, but once you get the ball rolling, these heroes are insanely good at team fighting. Missed stun.
JinQ on the run. Also a few little swaps around as well. You know, GH is going to be this bottom lane support with the Winter Wyvern.
Also, the reason I like PSG LGD supports more is because it's Phoenix, Nyx.
All right, of course, there you go. That's your one for the day.
You have to
back in the dungeon you go.
Yeah, this is you know, elimination game we're talking about. Got to be more serious. Just had to get this one out. Zeus will be paired up with the mind control, something that Nigma has been doing lately, where GH plays the safe lane. It's a lot of like, because it gives you a lot of damage, Arctic Burn, plus later on Blood Right, because he did start with the Thirst, and yeah, Nyx Assassin doesn't provide you with much in the laning stage. It's one stun.
Then you're done.
And then you're done, pretty much. Nice rhyme, Gary.
Thank you very much. Already Wise, you know, zoned Kuroki back out of lane, but Zeus will return. Get some denies going for himself. And GH zoning JinQ out, who's dragged the wave. Melee creeps only. Ranged one has gone on a bit of a wander elsewhere.
At least Mind Control in this top lane is not going to be playing against Nyx, because you would have 2 melee heroes on the safe lane and 2 melee heroes on the off lane. Maybe if they had it like 3-1 in terms of melee plus ranged combo, I think they would be able to make an adaptation. But with this heroes, I don't think they can do much. So you're just going to have to suck it up and play the laning stage.
Now what about this mid lane as well? Ember against Tiny. Is Sumail going to come out on top with his physical prowess? Or is there something and nothing to say he can do to
this is a very skilled matchup. We're talking about 2 extremely skilled players in the mid lane. I expect this to be pretty even. Like, I've seen this matchup go both ways. I don't think this is a matchup where one is going to stomp the other one. Pretty even in terms of farming, and this is the big one.
JinQ silenced. Arctic Burn slows him. He's in the river and he's dead, sinking down. The next Assassin's corpse falling as GH spills that first blood. Why, though? Dead to the zaps of Kuro.
Yeah, something we mentioned, like the supports on PSG LGD early on, not really as strong. You need to get the levels. Mind control. Thinking about going in.
Yeah, oh, mate, just resetting himself, get that composure back. Does have the Phoenix arriving again, and Mind Control misses out on his Starbreaker. So nice to have the Zeus in your lane, though, is continually securing range creeps, getting your experience, and zoning out the opponents. And why not able to really pull this wave back and get any pulls off? He's always being chased, and Tiny. Tosses nothing to say under tower, but no aggro on him. The avalanche and the punches are good from Sumail.
It's a good harassment, nothing to say. Does have a healing salve. Sumail doesn't have a tree to potentially cancel that healing salve. Needed to pick it up. And a good usage of the glyph.
Yeah,
usually it's the mid laners who get to use it, but so far so good at this bottom lane. Miracle off to a really good start. 16 CS, a lot of kill threat. They're sitting at half HP. How's top lane doing? Both full HP. Like, when you have Bloodseeker on your safe lane, you want to play aggressive on the off lane.
And Faith Beyond forced to head left. Get away from the blood right, gets out his Spirit Siphon.
Now with the boots of speed, Miracle will chase him down.
And
7 stick charges.
Hunted down up to his triangle. He'll TP home knowing there's no stuns coming. And yeah, that glyph usage, I'm not sure who it was, because it was very good for bottom, but it was also very good for mid lane as well, stopping Nothing to Say from securing any last hits while Sumail put pressure on him under his tier 1.
Usually you don't get to sync up the glyph usages.
Yeah.
It's all about like, oh,
very
can I do it? Probably can. Mid lane gets the priority, or sometimes off lane when they play so aggressive that they get to manage to like push the wave, get deep inside the tower, and then go for the kill. Ame sitting at 16 CS, a lot of denies there, but this bottom lane does not look too hot for PSG.
Well, turn it on him though. Ame, he got jumped on, and now Kuro in trouble.
Kuro looks
Ame
dead.
and Y, they're getting a lot of damage into
Oh, does he?
Kuro. Oh, he's gonna get them both.
I thought there's going to be a Chaos Strike coming out from CK, but Kuro, level 4.5, really enjoying himself here.
No messing around from God Kuro.
This is huge, you know, getting 2 kills, getting a couple of CS, and also getting levels. We're talking about Zeus potentially hitting level 6 at the minute 9 as a support, which is pretty big.
Avalanche toss from Sumail. Nothing to Say had the Flame Guard up, and Y's rotation in, looking to kill off the Tiny. Good dive forward, secure that takedown, but Faith Beyond is being left alone down bottom, inside the blood right, and the chase from Miracle, looking to secure the kill, but these Spirit Siphons just keep him healed, while GH's Courier killed off by the Nyx deeper in the jungle.
You need to have these Spirit Siphons when they decide to dive. Also Miracle moving at almost 500 move speed, having Orb of Venom on top of that, and also slow from Arctic Burn. Very difficult for PSG LGD to play this lane. I'm really surprised how much they're getting from it. 21 CS on Fate Beyond, even though Jin Q died once. Let's see if they want to play aggressive. Yeah, Jin Q looks very dead.
Trying to fake down
connect,
some spells.
I feel like they're going to go and dive underneath the tower.
He had to carapace a little earlier than he really would have liked to, but Miracle pops his wand to continue to fight. Decides it's not worth chasing any further. While Zeus is brought into the mid lane to try and burn through the Flame Guard, goes up to the dire high ground. Sumail doesn't want to get too involved with this.
Kuro.
Maybe now he'll jump back in with the Avalanche and the toss coming. They'll find the Phoenix.
Nothing to Say wants to grab a one from this. There's no way Kuro gets out of this one.
Get over here, Kuro. So a trade out in the mid lane from the 2 supports. Leaves Ame alone top, but this is kind of where CK wants to be, right? He's going to keep himself sustained with a Chaos Strike. And Mind Control doesn't have the same luxury.
Also, when we talked about hero counters, this was CK into Wyvern, which could potentially be a lot of trouble. Even into Zeus Tiny, it's easy to scout which one is real, but I think it's also going to come out to who's getting the first jump. Like in terms of carry-to-carry matchup, Bloodseeker, he does itemize the deal with CK, and the Illusions does have a lot of armor, but sometimes it might get overwhelming if CK is off to a really good start. 31 and 11 right now on Ame.
He's got Kuroki behind him.
Forcing a TP. They saw 2 supports, so maybe they could potentially try to play a bit aggressive on the side lanes, and here they go.
And at bottom, GH. Cold Embrace comes, allowing Miracle to...
Nyx looks very dead.
Shred through the Jin-Q Nyx Assassin. Wyvern survives the onslaught. And we did see Mind Control cutting wave top, drawing the attention of LGD up towards north. Kuro looks like he might get slight...
Now Kuro's the mid laner right now. He's like, please don't TP mid. I want my level 6.
I want that experience.
Oh, I thought he was going to go for it, potentially with the Chain Lightning, stealing away some CS. Nothing to Say, 34. A lot of denies in this game.
Yeah,
11 on Bloodseeker, 12 on CK, 13 on Tiny.
Sumail still level 6. Nothing to Say, and Jin-Q. They're not going to get the chain stuns as they would have liked. The Avalanche will hold the Nyx back as well.
Carapace on time.
Doesn't come out In the right timing, and Kuro is going to jump back across, try to defend his Sumail Tiny, forcing back the rest of LGD, killing Y and looking towards the DP as well. Miracle's joined this with everyone such low HP. He's sprinting around. Nothing to say, he's behind his tower. Safe for now. And will Remnant TP.
Different type of the games. You know, when we get close to elimination, you know that the carries are going to be much more active, especially if someone is playing hero like a Bloodseeker. So a good rotation from Miracle to be able to defend his Tiny and also get a kill. Carapace not on time to be able to just get another stun on Tiny. I don't think it would matter. I'm not sure if they would be able to close the gap. Mind Control. Playing behind enemy lines. A lot of heroes showed on the mid lane.
Yeah, it just feels like he can't face off 1v1 against the CK. But he'll get the same amount of farm.
You gotta respect the Mind Controls, level 6. Even Zeus is level 6, something that we mentioned. Zeus level 6, 9 minutes in. Kuro pretty much dominating this game, involved in 6 out of 9 kills. Nice.
Yeah. 2,000 net worth as well. A great spot. I mean, he's basically playing position 4 this game. Grouping down bottom, looking for Jin-Q. GH won't be able to do too much there, so him and Kuroki looking for a place to call their own. Looks like they... How do they pressure towers, though, here, Lacoste? It feels like Bloodseeker, these two supports, not really that great at shoving towards objectives.
They need to outnumber opponents. It's all about the global presence play with the catapults, get 2 kills, outnumber, and then try to go for it. Tiny deals like decent amount of damage, nothing spectacular, especially early on. Nothing to say. Wants to get on top of Sumail.
Stuck down in the river.
Region as well.
Faith Bian's come in, but the Solar Guardian and the Thunder God's Wrath looking to zap down the Ember Spirit. Mind Control arrives, and Faith Bian stuck here inside the Blood Rite. Sumail with Miracle joining up. The 5-man grouping by Nigma proving indomitable, as LGD just didn't have the numbers to fight. Nor did they have their level 6s yet.
They need to respect this global presence. They try to play around it. Still, picking up the region rune, Ember Spirit did get cut down in the end by Mind Control. Difficult fights. They need levels, as you said, on supports. Why only level 4? Next Assassin level 5.5. Where's the Tome?
Someone's got to give it to him. Get that Supernova going. It is their big team fight ulti, alongside the Exorcism. As Mind Control chased down by Arme, nothing to say, but they realize with the snap TPs and the reactions of Nigma, there's no place for them to be up top. Retreat back to their tower, give up on that kill. Well, you have drawn up a number of heroes here. That gives them a little more room in the mid and the bottom lane to try and get the levels and experience they need.
Arme still the most farm hero in the game on CK. 1 death only in the laning stage. Armlet already done, going for the Echo Saber. Pretty, I'd say, similar to previous game where they want to get stuff done in one fight. It's not going to be aggression coming on from PSG LGD. They might try to go for a pickoff, but they need to bring at least 1 extra hero because Dawnbreaker ulti, Zeus ulti that could scout them out. Things are going to be, I'd say, a little more difficult for PSG LGD.
Especially with the way that Nigma are playing this 5-man group-up squad. Like right now, they are spread wide open across the map. It's like a straight line from top down to bottom of these Radiant heroes. You can see the colors on the map.
No, double Fairy Strength and Jin-Q.
But when they're ready to fight, they are ready to fight. Toss back, Jin-Q, Carapace is up, gets the chain start in, but the Solar Guardian's there. Supernova, it's down in the river and no one can focus it, but with the Zeus ulti, they get the takedown on Jin-Q and there's no team fight to be had anymore. Winter's Curse on the Phoenix now. Maybe he can dive away, but the perfect chain stun from Mind Control comes in. And Kuro has enough damage to help the team bring down those 2 dire supports.
LGD will need to have another another hero, another core, because 2 supports, they do deal decent amount of damage right now. Good like team fight presence. It's just that they need Dead Prophet or Ember Spirit. And here on the bottom, another one for Miracle. Mega kill right now.
They need Death Prophet to not die like that down bottom, completely exposed to their Sumail and Miracle pairing.
I think what they're waiting for is CK getting his Echo Saber, and he will be ready to join.
Some kind of big smoke, right? We've seen this from LGD a lot of the top teams from time to time, when they are behind, they want to break out of this rhythm where they're losing traction on the map, so they go for one big smoke, one big team fight. And sometimes all it needs to open the map, get a tier 1, look for objectives, but also upset the dynamic of the opponent team.
Let's see if this is going to be a smoke. They are getting scouted at the moment. They caught the 3 heroes, so Nigma should know something is up. This observer ward did scout it. There's only sentry on the high ground, which does not reach. And look at positioning from GH.
Now GH will tank this gladly. It'll take a little while for them to finish him off, and Sumail realizing quite quickly he's got no place to be down here. That's not the big kill that LGD were looking for. I'll see if they can transfer this into just a little bit more with Kuro standing on the staircase, wide out in the open.
A lot of heroes go bottom.
He whiffs the stun. Miracle comes in. He's got the Blood Right Rupture on him. Nick's down. LGD looking for that bottom tier 1 as Nigma will gather up for the mid.
We talked about the 2 supports from PSG LGD being very greedy. Oh, Nigma, they want to defend. They have a good setup and mind controls here as well.
Yeah, the silence comes out just a little too late.
Time to bail. They
mind
need
control
to get out.
with GH, they're going to get Faith Beyond. Sunray from the Phoenix, not going to do anything as Y, Faith Beyond both die, and the Soul Guardian Winter's Curse there. Resets the team fight, aim towards Arme, relative back into the Starbreaker where they 2-man stun them. LGD going to get wiped off the face of the map at this rate. Sumail and MC chasing nothing to save with another tiny combo.
And Miracle's not done. He's still chasing, but no one to follow it up. I'm a bit surprised PSG LGD decided to go for this tower push. Ame was like 50 gold away from Echo Saber, which is a lot of damage on their side. They also need to be able to reset the fight, potentially get out of the Dawnbreaker ulti. This time around, Nigma has much more AoE control, a lot more stuns, so it's not going to be that easy for PSG LGD to reset.
Much more difficult for them. They're doing very well defending these towers, knowing that's a great way for LGD to come back into this game. Good cancel on the dive from Kuro. Well-timed lightning bolt there. Sumail wanted the high five from his captain, but Kuro's got more serious things to do.
He's de-warding, getting that money.
LGD just need to try and wait this out a little bit. They can't really defend that mid tower, just let Nigma have it. And this smoke, Jinkyu is going to try and scout it, but he'll have to spend his life for that information.
Kuro jumps in front of him with the heavenly jump. Jinkyu pinging, they have a sentry, which they do not. Smoke broke, and an instant reveal from Zeus. Zeus is more farmed than offlane DP. That's really concerning.
Faith Beyond definitely falling behind. Needs to pick things up a little bit. Still a fair distance away from his Yules, then he'll need the BKB afterwards. It's going to come down to LGD kind of cutting waves, trying to manipulate the map with little dirty tricks to find openings. There's Nigma. Mind control sat down bottom alone for now, but the TPs start coming in. The route from the chains. And the quick zip back to the Remnant. LGD, one of their favorite moves, right? They bring someone bottom, they force reactions, and then they look for where else they can play on the map.
2 supports from LGD managed to get 1 level each in the last 6-7 minutes.
Oof. That's not ideal, and why? He's going to show why that's happening. Sumail, he's got their number. And Miracle 6-0-2, also having a spectacular game.
Miracle pretty much having a perfect game, very close to his BKB. One thing I like about GH's build is that he is maxing out the Cold Embrace. He understands where the real threat is going to come from, going for the shard next. So being able to lower the cooldown on Cold Embrace, because you're playing against CK and Dead Prophet, if you manage to get 2 Cold Embraces in a fight, that could win you a team fight.
Yeah, it sure could, like the primarily physical damage, even sleight of fist. Going to be protected against by this Cold Embrace from GH.
Nigma has all the vision in the world. They see all 3 lanes, especially for the top. 1 behind the tower, 1 near the outpost. So whenever PSG LGD wants to make some kind of a move, if they want to go for the smoke, it's going to be very difficult. And it's also in your head that they have global presence. We go on one hero, Dawnbreaker will ulti. One of the reasons why this hero has been so popular lately.
Yeah, you spot one, you expect 5. There's no chance anyone's going to be isolated here on Nigma's side. And they're swarming up to top jungle. Sumail has the blink, nearly gets Echo Saber. And Faith Bian, who has had a torrid game so far, it only gets worse here on out. A mega kill streak for Sumail.
Kura was also ready, finger on Thunder Gods, just to be able to secure the kill. He is position 4 this time around. Like, he's not gonna be playing that 5 anymore. Doesn't need to buy sentries, can reward with the lightning bolt. I think GH will shift more towards that position 5 because of the scaling.
Yeah, a bit more sacrificial from him. And when Kuro's got 5.5 grand as his net worth, you don't argue with the man, you let him have what he wants. BKBs
on Ember. Ame has his BKB as well, buys the recipe, disassembles Echo. I think they might need to force a fight.
Everyone's got their BKBs though, like Mind Control's picked one up, Miracle, look there, yeah. CK's gonna have his delivered soon as well. 2 heroes per side with that magic immunity. Gonna make an awful lot of chaos in these team fights and make target attribution a little more difficult. But it's not difficult when you do it like that, look. Knowing DP is so squishy.
Why immediately removes the ward. He knew something was up.
Nothing
GH
to say. And wanting this Wyvern. Trying for the solo kill, but again, the TP reactions and the Solar Guardian. Nothing to say, trying to force these abilities out. But look at Sumail, just diving tier 2s. You're making noise and nonsense in one lane. You're bullying and cruising towards kills in another.
Seems like LGD does not have an answer for this one. We haven't seen Exorcism being used. Jin-Q, oh, misses the stun, wouldn't matter.
Still dead regardless. Oh, a real difficult one for LGD. 26-5, reminiscent of their games up against Team Secret. A 6K lead for Nigma as well, putting them in a good spot to take this one home. And looking towards this tier 2 mid. When do you start thinking about Roshan for Nigma? Is it after a team fight win, or can they sneak into the pit?
I don't think they need to force a fight, maybe get 1 or 2 pickoffs, because their pickoff is pretty insane. We're talking about Zeus, Rupture, Tiny, who's pretty massive, does have Echo Saber going into BKB next. Net profit, damage output, very limited. 1 point in Exorcism. And we see a bit of an adjustment from CK, going for Mage Slayer next. A lot of magical damage from Tiny, from Zeus.
Makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Yeah.
It really does.
Actually, you had the Echo Saber.
These professional e-gamers, Gary, I'm telling you, they're
Cyber
very
Sporters.
smart.
Mid-tier 1 for LGD. It's glyphed up by Nigma. And they are bringing a couple of supports in towards that zone. Miracle not really getting involved, but just Nigma showing their faces around here forces LGD back as they do smoke. Where are they headed? No real vision anywhere. They've got 1 ward in the triangle, but Miracle shows up top around the outpost, suddenly surrounded by Dire heroes. Hey, BKB's up. Nigma coming in to try and fight around him. He just straight up kills the egg. Miracle. Beautifully done. Now the silence, the Solar Guardian on to LGD. Armate trying to stick on a target, but he can't do it. His BKB is worthless. Sumail tosses him across. Phantasm comes. MC jumps in towards them. Still with his BKB going. And Nigma clearing through LGD one by one. They topple like dominoes. They just called GG.
Well, when I said this fight is done, I didn't mean that the whole game is done. But yeah, Nigma.
22 bloody minutes.
It was... I'd say only 8k gold lead, but PSG, they felt they could not take the fight. They needed some kind of damage. I'm not sure if Ame ulti was not available or if he didn't get it on time. I don't think it would matter considering how aggressive Nigma was in this one. Like, they managed to win the lanes, 2 supports, no real impact in the laning stage. Like, bottom lane did get crushed, and also, like, they got what? I said 1 level in 7 or 8 minutes on both of the supports. So a bit rough for PSG LGD, But Kuro, man, what a greedy player, especially in this game. You know, he was the one more farmed than I'd say 2 supports combined on PSG LGD.
He's a Greek god in real life. Why not role-play in game as well? But yeah, honestly, the difference between Game 1 and Game 2, it felt like Game 1 they were playing aggressively. They were on the front foot. They looked amazing. And then one slip-up around a Roshan, things fell apart. This one felt slower, more calm, smoother. So I don't know what the locker room talk from Kuroki was, but he's got his lads in shape, that's for sure.
Yeah, it was very difficult to match aggression from Team Nigma. They could not outnumber them because both supports did get, like when I say supports, I mean Zeus got early level 6, 9 minutes in, and also Dawnbreaker from the offlane, relatively early level 6, and then you're just like, how do we deal damage? Like our damage output is very limited. They did manage to shut down Dead Prophet in the laning stage. Ember Spirit try to go for some moves, try to go for the ganks, but felt like it was never enough.
Yeah, and it didn't feel like it ever mattered that they picked Dawn into Nyx or anything like that. But after such a quick game, the desk is ready, scrambling to their stations as we can pass it back to Arvo.
Yes, as we watch these are Aramco highlights. Nigma, what a game. This is what we saw last time, except no mistakes this time. Perfect execution and a quick closing in of the game. Instead of pushing towers, which they didn't have much push, they just choked the enemy to death and forced the GG out of them. What a performance, sir.
I mean, Kuro, relax.
Yeah.
Please, man. Show some mercy, relax.
I mean, not just Kuro, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Kuro in the first opening minutes up until like minute 10, absolutely, right? But then he immediately passes the baton to Miracle, makes a ton of great plays, who passes the baton to Sumail, who's getting pickoff after pickoff. I mean, it just felt like LGD were dropping like flies all over the map.
I think that game, honestly, like, I hate to say it, but I think Nigma just played so much better than LGD. Like, the Nigma players, they popped off.
Yep.
You know, we said, like, Kuro, he's just styling on them. Miracle, he's crushing his lane. He's TPing mid, you know, like, at the exact right time. Collects all the kills, you know, negates the pressure. GH with the sick cold embraces. You don't even have time to notice because the other ones are shining so much. But the cold embraces, they were so on point. And obviously, Sumail just popping hero after hero. All of them. And mind control, I mean, he didn't even have to play. You know what I mean? I mean, of course he did, but...
He had the lane, right?
It's too much. Like, they played so well, all of them. So well.
We can see this in the scoreboard brought to you by STC. I love it. I'm just going to use my power as a host to talk about Bloodseeker for a second. I just was so impressed by Miracle. You see the Nyx Assassin, okay? And as most people say, as Richie, you said in the panel, Bloodright countered by the Spike Carpus. But he did this incredible thing in the early game that Bloodseeker spammers will know. You buy the Orb of Venom, not the full Orb of Corrosion, and then you force the Nyx into 2 choices in the lane. You hit him, and he either has to wait for your Bloodright to hit and stay in there so he can Spike Carpus it back to you, or he uses Spike Carpus early, eats the Bloodright. There's no chance there.
And look at the Nyx score. He knows.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure he did not enjoy that. You know, he did not have fun. But you know, to my fellow carry players out there, you know, this is what the best carries do. They don't only farm, they don't only hit creeps, they use their heroes to the maximum of the potential, they win their lane, they're like, hey, I turn out to have 500 MS minute 10. Well, that's a little bit broken, my friend.
Max Thirst as well,
you
right?
might as well use it, you know?
I mean, he was using that move speed to join fights.
Yeah.
The early skirmish in the mid lane as well, right? And that's where I think, even though mind control, you know, obviously, when you say he didn't have to play this game, you're exaggerating, right?
Of course.
But because of how well he does top lane, the supports, and how well Miracle plays bottom, the supports have no experience whatsoever for that mid lane skirmish, right? I mean, it was like, if there's a Supernova there, if there's a Vendetta onto one of the backliners, maybe they can make some plays. They just have no moves to make for how strong Nigma came out of the lanes.
Nigma supports, they were both level 6 without the tome. Sumail actually ate the first tome.
I mean, it's Sumail.
No, but he could. His supports, they were doing so well. And on the other side, even though they ate the tome, they were still level 5, right? So it's really hard, you know. And then Nigma, they for sure identified does not seem to work. It seems completely underwhelming every game, and it seemed like that again. You know, I mean, he had a rougher start this time around because of the Nigma support pressure, but you know, the last game that he played against Secret, he had a really good game actually, that game, and still, I mean, it's nothing to do with the player. He's one of the best embers out there. Maybe the hero just does not fit the meta. There's too much burst damage on Nigma. He can't really play on the shield because, you know, the Zeus is. It just feels like something doesn't work with this Ember. They need to get away from it.
Right, and we talk about the support as well. The support's been so popularly picking on LGD has been the Phoenix, the Moiter Wyvern, the Warlock, right? But we talked about this last panel. The Warlock and Phoenix, they probably like it when the lanes are more static, not when they're running at you. Is it possible they have to reconsider these fives, perhaps?
I mean, they need a... Yeah, maybe they do. Maybe it's all related. Maybe Ember is a little bit weak. You know, maybe the problem of Ember is actually that his supports are not giving him enough attention. It could also be that, right? And maybe that's what we feel, because maybe, you know, we're gonna see the Ember next game getting help from the support, getting ahead, getting the DDs, the haste, and then we're gonna be like, oh, this Ember is broken. You know, they need to ban it. I mean, a lot of things can change really quick in Dota, but something doesn't work right now.
I guess I'd like to see like the supports that can play a little bit more by themselves and make plays. Like the Nyx Assassin by himself is no longer just getting these solo kills around the map, like not without Dagon, right?
Yeah, he's ward.
Same thing with Phoenix, right? I mean, we saw one Supernova and Miracle just like, he's like, oh boy, an egg, and he gets to eat it. That's all it was this game from the supports, unfortunately. Yeah, I think maybe a little bit of change there might be in order.
Yeah, he got some extra Shuka, you know, really something for the region here. And for now, we are going to give something to you guys, which is a break, as we'll come back with Game 3 between Nigma and PSG LGD very soon. Please stay tuned as we wait for that final game to begin.
ready for Game 3. This is the decider match. We've seen the meta that's best of 3 evolve. To a degree, LGD decides to evolve at every game. You know, they just go, oh, new evolution. This is the new draft we're coming up with. But what will be their solution to this fast Nigma tempo? We're going to have to see.
A break from the Ember? I specify Ember because last time I said that you actually gave us a break, like a, you know, an ad break, but a break from the Ember. A break from the Ember. That would be great.
Yeah, no more Ember. Okay, that's step number 1. I like it. Perhaps more laning. Or do you think this team fight strategy can work, like you said, if they can avoid fights? Or heroes that are good at doing that, perhaps?
Heroes that would be dodging. I mean, when you see the pace, as you mentioned, at which Nigma plays and like their global presence, I don't know that I can find one, honestly. I think it's just hard. I think you just have to kind of respect it and be able to fight it back at least a little bit, right?
Yeah, I mean, Ember's good at avoiding these fights, right? We saw that once when he was diving the Wyvern, the Solar Guardian gets given, and he just leaves, but then that's about it, right?
It doesn't win you the game, right?
It does not win you the game, and I don't think this is necessarily a big strategy you can really ban out. Like, sure, you can take away the Dawnbreaker, perhaps LGD looked for in this game 3, right? They took away the Tusk before, but there's so many heroes. I think the meta is in a pretty good stage right now for playing this faster kind of tempo style. There's plenty of heroes that can do it, and plenty of items that enable this as well.
I wanted to ask you as well, Richie, if we continue with this line of thinking, do you feel like this Razor has been the pivotal point to this? Is one of the strongest laners LGD drafts usually, is also kind of king in the Chinese meta. Do you feel like maybe they have a substitute for it? Usually LGD has like plan B, plan C, right? What's the plan B if the Razor does not work out here?
Yeah, that's a really interesting point, actually, because you're right. That has been kind of the linchpin of their success, right? Especially in their opening series versus Secret. Completely blew both games wide open for them. Ame gets a safe farm, and that was like the win condition for them, right? I don't know. I guess they were hoping the DP would be able to get it done this game, and it just simply didn't really look amazing for them out from the laning stage with how well Kuro played. I don't know what else they have here in the bank, but I'm sure Xiaoba has been cooking up a couple of things. He's got a couple scripts ready, the director, for Game 3.
I think you need to... I mean, I just look at the Nigma heroes and they come online so quickly. You know, Dawnbreaker, Zeus, Tiny, Bloodseeker, these heroes, level 5, level 6, they all are so happy to start brawling. And the last game was the same. You know, the Prophet, the Bristle with the Vanguard, like they really come online so quickly. And on LGD side, they need time. You know, Ember, he wants level 4 Sleight of Fist. Ideally, he wants to get to his first item, the Maelstrom. DP, she wants ulti, she wants... But yet again, you know, I'd much rather play, you know, like a Zeus nuking DP from a range or a Tiny throwing combos at people than having this DP, so much pressure, you know, one ulti that you press and then you're kind of useless for 2 minutes. Same with the Phoenixes and the CKs. I think, yeah, you know, LGD, they really need to respect the pace at which Nigma is really ready to play. So they either balance their draft a little bit more in that, you know, in that direction, or they get rid of the key heroes, which is, you know, the Wisp ban, I see it. Wisp, probably perfect, you know, perfect suit for the perfect fit for the Nigma playstyle. I think the Zeus is really good for Nigma too. What we don't really talk about with the Zeus is like early fights. First of all, Zeus ulti, it's a crazy amount of damage. It's obviously the most reliable you have in the game. It's meant to hit on everybody. You de-ward all the wards also really quickly with the Zeus. So the Vision game for these early skirmishes. I think it's a perfect fit for their style. I think maybe LGD should pay a little bit more attention to the Zeus. Maybe just ban it.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think a lot of these LGD strategies, like you take a look at them, and there's certainly a pretty solid win condition in all its games, but usually they come online with like a 2 or 3 item timing for Ame, right? And you look at the offlaners, and they're not usually able to play the entire game by themselves. This game, they were hoping for the team fight to be a little bit better, obviously with the Phoenix Supernova, but the last pick Bloodseeker was just really good, and then the lanes were so difficult with how well Nigma focused. I think, just as an example, right, you know, you pick like a Broodmother, you pick like a Beastmaster, you give a different objective very far away from Ame to play on the map, right?
Exactly, yeah.
And you force Nigma to play that game.
And 50 happened to play these heroes. He's very well known for the Beastmaster, for the Lycan. He, you know, obviously there's the Visage, but maybe the big difference with Visage is that his laning phase can be a little bit abused, but they have the tools, you know, they have the players to kind of do what you just described, and which is honestly just have a more stable early game. You know, they need the first 10 to 15 minutes to be a little bit more stable. And in game 1, even though they won, it looked the same as game 2 at the beginning. It looked really scary, you know?
Agreed. Yeah. I love that idea, actually, because when you look at these Zeus, particularly the Lycan, as we now get into the draft, I mean, if you remember STI, it wasn't just LGD, it was also the rest of the Chinese teams, like Vici Gaming was also running the Lycan very much so, and it was a great success.
They could be looking at it, and I mean, I like this a lot from LGD, you know, they decided to take the Zeus themselves. It's a hero that is great at fighting back, you know, and it's a hero that Nigma really needed, in my opinion, so this is much better. The Tusk is out, super fast tempo hero, great comfort for Nigma. Kuro plays it, GH plays it. The Wisp, obviously, you know, one of the best Nigma heroes in the history of that team, and then they get the Zeus themselves. We see the Wyvern, the Tiny. I'll be very honest, like the Wyvern is still a question mark to me, not in the sense that it doesn't work. It seems to work greatly. I just don't know what makes them, you know, rate this hero that high yet. Maybe they just think the Wyvern spells are just too good, you know. Obviously, you think of a Zeus, and Wyvern is the least, like the last hero you think of. It's magic damage versus the Embrace, but they seem to be looking at something else.
I mean, certainly, I mean, even if you just look at last game's draft, they didn't really ever address this Wyvern, right? Now immediately they address it with the Zeus pick, right? No matter what lane this Zeus is, and no matter the role, the Wyvern, Cold Embrace is just simply not going to have the same amount of impact as last game.
Earth Spirit, also one of the best heroes at playing against Wyvern. He's always going to find him in the backline. If he doesn't, he can just also silence him from afar. You know, obviously tons of magic damage, natural vessel buyer, so great answer to the Wyvern. And Earth Spirit, I think, you know, one of the best heroes, actually. I really like the adaptation here. Zeus Earth Spirit. Think about the brawling that happened. These heroes are super happy to brawl early game. This is actually what they're kind of designed for. You know, they have these repositioning mechanism. They have a ton of damage, a ton of lockdown, of silences. So I like that from LGD, you know, like this is much more aggressive, much more fit to fight into Nigma early, and you know that Nigma, they will do it.
And this is like also another hero that he wants to rotate early, even just on like level 3, right? You go like 2-1 or 2-1 or like 1-2, you roll into the mid lane, right? You can set up for a super early kill and get enable nothing to say on one of his heroes. Like I really like this pick for LGD.
Stabilizing the lanes, right? Another thing Earth Spirit can do in case the lanes don't go too well. That rotational power gives you more options. And this has also been the team that's been more has a preference for the Earth Spirit. As everyone went towards the Marcia, even the Tiny, Earth Spirit has still been a stable pick for LGD. Actually, they're number 2 when Marcia has been banned.
Yeah, and that's important. I think also like going to your comfort heroes is important after you got kind of humbled that much game 2, because honestly, I think game 2, sure, there was the draft, but there were also the plays. I think the Nigma players, they were just outplaying LGD players right, left, and center. It was literally, you could even feel like a skill difference, not in general, but in that game in particular. I think they really had their number. They had maybe the mental advantage. I do not know what it was.
Kuro was tipping. You know? Like that even surprised you.
I think this was the first time I've seen Kuro chat wheel in the middle of the game. As he was styling on them, I'm like, okay, this is what 2022 looks like. I like it. You know, it's why not? You know, why not?
Yeah, and speaking of like the comfort, right? As we see this series progress now into the 3rd draft, take a look at what LGD ban out, right? The Dawnbreaker, the Furion, the Bristleback. Even if LGD did manage to win game number 1, that was certainly, right, a very risky timing. The respect there also from Nigma, right, as they remove, again, the Ame Faces Void, and again, this Warlock, which LGD have not been able to pick in this series.
I mean, hey, I'm a Dota fan, right, so I hate 20-minute games. I want, you know, I need longer games. I need more Dota, more spells, and I love that from LGD in that aspect. They are getting rid of all the Nigma, you know, super high tempo heroes. You know, the Dawnbreaker, the Prophet, as you mentioned, the Zeus is on NGD side. I think they're really pushing Nigma away from what has been working really well for them. Obviously, Nigma, amazing team. I'm sure they have plenty of other ways to play, other heroes maybe to kind of, you know, keep that playstyle going. So they're gonna find the answers. But I like how LGD adapted. I feel like this is the first game ever since the Secret Series, even, you know, disregarding the game that they won, I think this is the draft where they're doing a great job at dealing with Nigma, like for once, and properly.
Okay. Now as we get into that second phase, the Nyx Assassin, as you mentioned, gets picked up here by Nigma. What is going to be the answer from LGD? How are they going to set up the tempo for this draft? And more importantly, what's their 5 here? A lot of their favorite 5s have been taken out, the Warlock, the Winter Wyvern.
I mean, it reveals that the Tiny is going to be core, most likely. I mean, again, some teams, you know, Liquid, Mickey, he has been running the Winter Wyvern mid, so it's not impossible. I'm sure Sumail, good enough to play anything. Most likely a Tiny core, so I think you want to try to abuse it. Yeah, for instance, the Doom, you know, very good hero against Tiny. percentage HP, you know, burn. Obviously, Doom is a good spell against Tiny also. He will just be able to kill him himself, so
and I think what's really nice about this is like the Doom late game especially is like Doom Tiny at any stage of the game, very good, right? But once your cores get BKBs off and they don't really have to worry about that initial Tiny burst, he's also great at just locating and locking down and scaring the Wyvern from the fight. The Wyvern doesn't want to be anywhere in the neighborhood of a Blink Dagger Doom.
True.
And Ench now to stabilize the lanes, right, as well. Once again, they're going for these fights that are more consistent in the early game. They're adapting to Nigma's draft. How will Nigma respond here?
It's interesting. I mean, both teams are kind of prioritizing heroes that they really want, and they're maybe being a little bit less sneaky with the draft, because you know the Ench pick reveals the fact that the Zeus is a core hero. On the side of Nigma, as we mentioned, you know, they're revealing that the Tiny is a core, so they're like, you know, we're getting to the stages of the tournament where
the gloves are off.
It's like,
right?
yeah, exactly. It's like, we need this hero in order to match what you're doing. You know, sure, it's mid, you know it doesn't matter. And it shows also a lot of confidence to their core players. It's like, he's good enough to play into a bad matchup. It does not matter. What matters is that we get the Zeus on Nothing to Say, we get the Tiny on Sumail.
I like this Monkey King pick, right? Previously banned against Miracle. No surprise there, right? He plays it quite fast in this tournament. I've seen him go for the Diffusal Blade build into BKB pretty much. He's very active around the map. But what I also like about this is also just kind of the Wukong's command circle is going to be very, very, very powerful, especially if you can get it off before the Doom. Monkey King, very much a hero that can fight into Doom, even if he is doomed, right? So long as he gets that ultimate up. Earth Spirit, also another one hero that wants to go in, right? He might find himself in the middle of a Wukong's command, right?
And it starts from the lane, right? Like, he bullies Doom really hard. He's amazing, I think, with Wyvern Nyx. Wyvern Nyx, they're really known at, you know, being good to lockdown heroes. They don't bring a lot of damage, but then Monkey, that's Monkey's dream. It's like, everybody's stunned around me, I get to press my spells, I get to get my Jingu stacks. It's an amazing pick, and I think on LGD's side, they have very little to deal with him, honestly. They have, how do you stop Monkey? You need to stun him, right? You need to make sure he does not get the Jingu stacks into the queue so that he heals himself back up, and it's a very scary lineup, I think, for LGD to play against.
The Darkseer ban.
So,
it's
sorry,
great.
Yeah.
I just need to ask this because the Viper ban from Nigma. If that's the case, what's the Viper carry or what's carry?
Nigma understands that right now LGD, they have a big monkey problem, which they really do. Like, this is a perfect monkey game in the hands of Miracle 2. It is scary, and they have no heroes to deal with them whatsoever. So the only, maybe they thought, you know, Ame Doom, Faith Beyond on Viper, that would have been one way to kind of kill the win condition that Monkey's bringing right now. It's a little bit crazy, but sometimes it is what it takes when you're cornered, and I do feel like LGD is a little bit cornered right now with the just imagine playing Monkey versus Earth Spirit Doom. I mean, it's free food for you on the lane, right? And then you're just gonna turn to the Zeus, the Enchantress, no stuns. You might just rampage the whole map.
I really want to quickly bring this up. Sorry to interrupt, gents, but this is an incredibly similar draft to what Nigma used to dismantle TSM. They played this against a mid Zeus, an Ench, and another. It was Night Stalker, but another hero that wants to go in, right? So the Darkseer being taken out here because that was actually the last pick that Nigma wins. So
it would have been brilliant, the Darkseer. I mean, Darkseer. Think about Darkseer with these heroes like Darkseer Monkey, a great synergy. Darkseer Nyx, Darkseer Tiny, even Darkseer Wyvern. It would have been awesome. It's a great ban, and I'm happy that they're kind of adapting, because I feel like the second phase, it went heavily in favor of Nigma.
Yeah, and that was the TA. TA was actually the solution that TSM proposed against them, but Nigma finished that game so fast that Tomato just didn't have a chance to get online.
Okay, and they go for the Jugger. I mean, it is a really good Jugger game when you think of the Nyx, when you think of, you know, maybe even the Tiny, to kind of also add to the grouping up together, you know, Healing Ward. Jugger doesn't mind joining his team early, using a level 4 Blade Fury. You know, he's one of these carries that can join fights and not kind of slow down his game by doing so. But once again, I look at this Monkey, and I'm scared. I think it's such a good monkey game right now, and they still have one more pick, which is most likely going to be an MC hero, I want to say.
Yeah, that's what I was just looking at here. I'm trying to see what he would want to go for, looking at what Nigma are lacking. Again, like last game, it wasn't an issue. Their tower push wasn't amazing. We didn't bring that up in the draft. I do see a DP available potentially for them into the Juggernaut. The spin may be a bit scary, but I do like the tempo she might bring.
Yeah. I mean, maybe what LGD, what Nigma is going to lack is some sort of way to sustain. I mean, I'm trying to think, you know, this Earth Spirit, the Zeus spamming their spells. At the same time, they have the Nyx to catch them. I think they'd have a lot of options open. for some reason, I feel like Nigma could win the game with these heroes already without the last hero.
It does feel really good.
Yeah.
Like this last pick can just be the cherry on top.
Could you just go for a pick that makes sure Juggernaut has a terrible lane? Just sacrifice for that, you know,
That'd
make
be
sure
nice.
there's no chances now.
Yeah, kill his tempo completely, because he's one of the heroes that if he has a really good game, he can man up and kind of deal with the monkey himself, you know, run up to him, trade the Wukong for the Omni Slash. Obviously, you don't get affected by Wukong and you kill him through the armor, because usually they go for the Maelstrom kind of build where you have a lot of like heavy magic damage. Yeah, slowing down the Jugger would be great. I feel like that's one of the jobs that MC could come up with. Prophet is banned. It would have been a pretty nice Prophet game. Okay, he goes for the Beastmaster, so I mean, maybe not the best. I mean, when you think about it, it's quite crazy. He actually goes for Beast into Ange, so it's maybe a little bit scary.
And
he's gonna get the roar at least.
Into Jug. I was going. I mean, the Jug. At least now with this, well, you already had the curse actually to threaten for the spin TPs. I was gonna be like, is Brood pickable here into like a Zeus, into all that stuff? Like, it would have been a bit hard, right? Better against the Ench, of course, but I don't know if that's maybe something they were willing to risk, because when you pick the Brood, it completely shifts your draft. Whereas this is just good team fight, good push.
I think the point that you made of Beastmaster though is odd, because against Ench you go Wild Axis, right?
Yeah.
But against Jug you want to go Boars, so it's like, what do you do, man? What's this lane gonna look like here?
Okay, I'm a level 30 Beast player. I do not want to go into an Ench Jugger lane, but this is a player that just stomped LGD in 20 minutes. You know, we're sitting here, watching him for a reason. So let's give him, you know, I'm not convinced, but I'm happy to be proven wrong.
Sure. And does this mean that, let's look at the other 4 picks, right, that Nigma is still looking like the stronger tempo draft. Do you feel like LGD has answered that correctly, though, in this final game?
I think so. I think they made a good adjustment, honestly.
Okay.
I agree. I really like their second phase of bans, and especially the better mid lane pick for them as well.
Yeah.
Well, this final game is sure to be spicy, but we are a little bit sad because the final time that we get to see these 2 teams today, and also the final time we get to hear the wonderful voices of Gareth and Lacoste.
Away we go here with game number 3, Lacoste, and the panel convinced that the first 4 heroes, ignoring the 5th one, the Beastmaster from Nigma, enough to take on LGD. What do you reckon?
I mean, you and I were talking, and I'm like, yeah, they either go for something like a Beastmaster, or they pick up Avenge to have another BKB piercing ability in the lane, usually Beastmaster into Enchantress, as panel talked about. Not what you want to see. A lot of sustain in that lane from PSG LGD, where they have Enchantress heal, they have Juggernaut healing Ward. You can't go for the boar, so that might be a bit difficult. You will need to play with the axes, so that's an adaptation that they need to make. Looking at what PSG LGD has on the off lane, it's 2 melee heroes into Monkey King, so that's gonna be very difficult. Like we're talking about Monkey King, that's gonna have a free time. They need to manipulate the creep wave. They cannot play the lane. Also, at
Monkey King
C5.
first. 2-man Boundless. I've got the spin from Arme. Miracle being focused. Juggernaut going to take him down with Jinkyu's final touch. Now Mind Control, the one in trouble. Arme looking to try and slip away, but he's dead. Kuro going to get slapped down by Faith Bian. And the rest of them looking to scramble out and evade this danger. But Nigma lost 4. GH the last man standing, and Jinkyu's not done. They want a team wipe. They want it. Before creeps even spawn, the horn hasn't been sounded, and LGD just slammed them.
I don't remember seeing a full 5-man team wipe before the horn started. So Doom getting some extra goals, starting with the Boots of Speed. Who died on their side?
Jug?
It was only Juggernaut. All right, 5-1, 2 seconds into the game.
Yeah, not since the days of, Screen Squad and Goblack with our early 5-man smokes have we seen something like that. Walking up that high ground straight into them. And a 5-1 lead already for LGD. And how much of an impact is that going to have, giving them a better laning stage against some of these counter matchups that Nigma have picked?
Yeah, we see the adaptation. Doom starting with the Boots of Speed, bringing extra Windlace to be able to just get out of the Monkey King. Monkey does have, all right.
3 runes as well.
3 runes, so that's a 1k gold lead already.
Wonderful start for LGD. Yeah, like the panel and you've been saying, that is a Monkey King versus double melee as top lane. The spin from Arme straight towards MC. Chipping away at the Beastmaster, forcing him away from the lane. He wants the high 5, but he's not going to get it. And the Beastmaster, of course, going Wild Axis level 1, something much more common nowadays, and especially against an Enchantress.
We mentioned the creep manipulation, and already second wave. Jinkyu already going for it. Fate Beyond needs to keep the distance, but I'd say so far so good. Like, this is not the lane that they want to win. They want to survive in this lane and just play for it a bit later. You also have Devour, Jinkyu in vicinity, just in case something happens, does have boots of speed of his own, because he's involved in 4 kills. Those level 1 kills, you know, don't bring much XP and gold, but it's something extra.
The ability to outrun the monkey early on. He does have the kick as well, as we just saw, to create that gap between him and Miracle.
Doom looking for a creep.
Kuro's looking for a courier. Oh, is he fast enough? He's not going to get the hits in. But he will drag the wave, which is probably his primary focus.
So is Fate Beyond on the bottom.
Yeah, lots of wave cutting and dragging around. GH, though, look at his job. Drag the dire wave and try and match them in the jungle.
Fate Beyond looking for a creep, looking for a good creep, and he's going to find one. There it is, what you want to have. The Mind Stealer.
Perfect.
Extra mana regen and some extra mana burn. But yeah, against Monkey King, you don't care too much about mana burn.
Yeah, and already we see a few CS troubles for Nigma. Beastmaster and Monkey King starting to lag behind the rest of the pack, but if they can get some kills or pickoffs, they could make up for that. And on the flip side, you know, Zeus up at the top, Juggernaut 11 and 4 for LGD. Having a very good start.
Mid lane is going to be the farm fest for both of the heroes. I don't think anyone's going to die unless we see rotation from Jinkyu's Earth Spirit. Wyvern, Nyx Assassin, not as good as rotating. Curry or Keep, look at him. That's what he's been doing, even in the previous game. I think he had at least 2 or 3 career kills.
Yeah, finding them non-stop. That's boots that Arme won't see for a couple of minutes. Kick Miracle away from bottom. Jinkyu has handed the bound of strike with a Jingu stacks over to Miracle. Fairy Fire, not enough. Miracle with a big right clicks. Faith Beyond trying to find this trade kill. So much damage coming out of that Doom.
He also has a full wave underneath the tower for Fate Beyond. Gonna hit level 4. Gonna have enough money to buy phase boots. This is huge. This is exactly what you want to have. And then Jinkyu TP's mid, refills the bottle before 4-minute water rune. Also expect Jinkyu to potentially rotate to the top lane. Beastmaster, how's he doing? 14 and 2, not too bad.
Yeah, not as bad as expected. But back to that Doom, we were kind of expecting him to be in recovery mode, right? But now he's going to start racing up towards the top of that net worth board as they roll in.
This is not recovery mode.
So Mail, he's got the avalanche back, a toss towards nothing to say, but it's not just Jinkyu's rotation. Y was also there. No response from Nigma. And yeah, it's not recovery mode, right? He's going to be the...
No, he was playing aggressive alone bottom against 2.
He's a beast. Is it still going to be the kind of ordinary Hand of Midas from the Doom, or do you think he'll change things up?
Yeah, I assume so. I think he's in a perfect spot, yeah, and he queues it up immediately.
Kuro sitting in behind Sumail mid. This Enchantress roaming around with the Shard Golems, chucking pebbles at people and forcing Kuro to stun some creeps. Can Y just zone him away from this triangle?
Zeus is level 6, a bit low on mana, has Clarity running, needs 300, so I want them to play aggressive on the side lanes. Where we're talking about try to get a kill on GH. Even Miracle dies. Miracle level 4, Doom also level 4. He dishes out a lot of damage, and here they come.
All right, going straight in towards them. They found out Miracle and the zap down from the heavens, just as you called for. Faith Beyond on a killing spree out of this lane where we thought he would be dominated.
Yeah, those extra couple of kills at start did really help. Jinkyu does have another roll.
Find the bonus kill.
Mana burn available, but not too much mana on GH. Still gonna grab it.
So aggressive, and Y in from behind. Looking for mind control, the dodge of the stun, the spin is good, but a lack of stuns here will allow mind control to TP safely. Not ideal still though, because that continues the free farm of the Juggernaut.
Yeah, one thing that PSG LGD has and always have had is ability to adjust accordingly. Like, they lose one game, suddenly it's a completely different draft for game number 2. 2 different kind of supports in terms of what they're gonna do.
6
Rune
minutes.
is spawning, it's top.
Regen's top, but Sumail was waiting for it down bottom. both LGD supports in that mid lane going to allow the Zeus
much
to get
more
it.
active compared to the previous game.
Yeah.
They wanted to have a bit more presence in the lane. Fate Beyond will be level 6 after the next creep wave. So they will one more time try to go for a Monkey King. Zeus 60 seconds, so they could potentially sync those two abilities up.
Should be perfect timing.
And also controlling the runes against Tiny is pretty big.
They're going, even without the Thunder God's Wrath. They've kicked Miracle back, and look
Wide
who's here
here.
again. It is wide. You just don't expect this onslaught from LGD coming thick and fast with everybody they've got. Whenever there's a gank, it's not 1, it's not 2, it's 3.
It's pretty similar what issues PSG LGD had in game number 1. Nigma is facing it in this one. 2 supports who are not as good. Like, we have pretty much the same heroes. Where
That's a cheap stat. Yeah, Zeus has the most assists. What a surprise. Big damage, though.
5 kills at start. That definitely helps. Using Chain Lightning, bouncing on 5 people. Easy 5 assists.
Yeah, super easy. Arme always has his finger ready for that spin. Bullied away from the large cap, but no big deal.
Sumail will need to do a lot of heavy lifting once he picks up the Blink Dagger or with the 8-minute rune. There is Observer Ward, they see him.
Yeah, the deep ward, the Centaur stomp. And once more, it's YNGQ pairing up, holding hands, ganking and roaming. Sumail with the Avalanche can get the kill on the Earth Spirit. Oh, the heal not enough, and he doesn't finish off Jinq.
Here comes Fate Beyond.
Fate Beyond's arrived.
This is going to be 3 kills.
He's there with the Doom. Roll won't land, but they're chasing forward onto the Nyx. They shall find Kuroki and GH into the grave. The kick doesn't land, but this Nyx is ticking down.
He's trying to
heal
regen
under
up.
the tier 2
Tranquil
tower.
Boost did kick in. He's fine. He's fine.
He's all right. Or is he? Spirit Carapace back the roll in.
Jinq gets the first kill. 2 Chads fighting against each other.
Finally, something for Nigma. Killing off Y and stopping this hyper-aggression from LGD.
Yeah, you see this Nyx Assassin and Wyvern, like, they don't provide you with much, so they dive underneath the tower. One of the reasons I said Sumail is going to need to come back into the game, do some heavy lifting. He has 3 deaths. Those 2 supports did really ruin him, so this time around, he's not going for the power treads. Instead, understands, I need to get the Blink Dagger. We don't have a way to start a fight. Mind control top. No points in a roar. Very limited on mana.
Does have his helm, though, so the Wild Wing frontlining for him. Nigma all eyes on bottom lane, though. They've smoked up with Wyvern Tiny. Top, they're going to go spin on to MC. A quick and easy one there, and back down to bot as the jump in, toss back. Miracle going to get the kill and take down on Faith Beyond. At long last, the Doom dies. Y slowed by the Arctic Burn, and Miracle closing the gap. Jumping over the treetops, but that's an Enchantress. She's healed up to full, and not a target you can continue on.
Killing Doom. He was relatively close to Hand of Midas. They need to also get back Miracle into the game. He's going for Hand of Midas himself. Wants to be able to recover. I checked the stats during the DPC for Hand of Midas on Monkey King. It was 0-3 while Monkey King was playing, getting the Hand of Midas. At the end of that day, he was 0-4. So, not a big fan of that. We'll see how this one will end up.
Stats don't
He
lie.
needs to recover. Like, that's what he's thinking. I need to get back into the game, get some extra attack speed, and he has this, something that the Monkey King, when played by Miracle, really does like.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. Nigma starting to play a little tighter now together. Sumail having the bodyguard of GH nearby. And we see Nyx like babysitting the monkey.
Another rune for nothing to say.
He's had a lot of them. I want to say I've not seen Tiny with a rune, an active one anyway, this game so far.
Not this game.
7, look at that, 7 runes activated.
That's
2 for Tiny, which I assume are water runes.
Yeah, water runes, that's it. 2-minute water rune and a 4-minute water rune. Also, could we check the stats for like Kaya? How fast this Kaya was on Zeus? Because nothing to say is involved.
Bloody hell!
8 minutes faster. Like, I'm like, he has a lot of items. That's Arcane Boots and full Kaya going into Kaya-san.
So close, 5 seconds slower than the fastest ever this patch.
Yeah, that looked pretty fast.
You blame your courier for that one.
Oh, yes.
Not speedy enough. GH trying to hold out on this mid lane, but Catapult Wave and the Zeus's ability to shove out the creep wave as well.
They're thinking about going on to Ame.
Roar and Wukong's Boundless Strike should follow. Good chain stunning from Nigma, but Ame He's got his wand and his spin in the back of Jin Q. They're still fighting around the Wukong's command, and in comes the Doom. Faith Beyond focusing the monkey, but nothing to say. He finds the takedown on mind control, and 2 cores gone on the side of Nigma, while GH, he's dying over in his own triangle. Nothing to say from halfway across the map, gets 2 kills.
They needed to bring one of the supports, whether we're talking about Vendetta with Nyx Assassin or Wyvern Ulti, because this one was pretty difficult one to get. Sumail does have a Blink Dagger, but nothing to say. Super tanky. Infused Raindrop, extra 6 stats from the pick pole. Apologies.
11 assists on this Earth Spirit.
Why do I love to round up the numbers? For me, everything's like 10, 100, 1,000.
That's just normal, isn't it? You just keep rounding up. Makes things nicer. You don't want to be saying 7,322.4189. Just say 8,000.
We even have DPC points with like 59.5. I think is what the Team Secret has.
What was that other one? Like 122.67.
That's what they had. Yeah.
The 2/3 of a point kicking in hard there.
Miracle scouting things out. GH ready with Winter's Curse.
It's just an Enchantress solo pressuring your tower, though. They would love to see some other heroes that they can jump and catch off guard. They'll go for Y anyway. Level 6 Enchantress, very difficult, especially when she turns into a piggy, but Sumail's arrival.
They swapped the items. They gave Arcane Ring to Zeus. It's a kill. Miracle gets it. I want to see Karoki be a little bit more active, but there's also Deep Observer Ward in the mid lane that did cause a lot of issues for Nigma Galaxy, because it got them a couple of kills. It's about to expire, and it's also scouting things out, because they see Nyx Assassin. If he's showing on the lanes, they know that Beastmaster needs to be the one initiating, playing with Tiny, especially if they want to kill the core.
All right, MC's found his home up top, right? Tier 1's down, so he just plays that lane, shoves it all the way in towards Tier 2, forcing some kind of a reaction from LGD. It looks like it's going to be Y's job to come clear out the wave for now. But this is very, very calm for LGD. No need to rush into anything. They know they've got the upper hand and they can keep accelerating at this rate. Nothing to say. Waiting in the trees. A couple more joining him.
GH scouting things out. He'll find Zeus.
He says hello. But here comes the roll into GH, starts and stunned. The Monkey King cut down from his canopy. Stole, dearie me. That was not good for Nigma. Sumail wasn't able to make a jump either.
They need to bail immediately. Sumail decides to TP out. Time to play a different lane.
And Arme straight onto the objective. Kuro, he wants to stop the DD from being taken by LGD, but he's going to pay the ultimate price for that.
Fade Beyond's like free money. We'll get it. Has that Hand of Midas. In the next minute and a half, 2 minutes, he will have a BKB. This was supposed to be like the bad lane, but Doom on top of the net worth.
Ridiculous scenes here from Faith Beyond. An absolute beast. Top 3 net worth, all LGD heroes as well. It's not just him. Tiny struggling after, like you said, the ganks, the 3 deaths he suffered in the first 10 minutes. Beastmaster, top of the net worth for Nigma, as he has just planted himself up top and pushed out this wave. And they were pinging out top tier 2. They want something, an objective to unlock that jungle, the outpost, and maybe the ability to play more aggro. Was that monkey dying? They just rolled and killed by the Zeus and Earth Spirit. No response from Team Nigma, and Miracle dead again. Kuroki next in the firing line. Can't get his carapace off, he's been silenced and stunned. This Earth Spirit is causing so many problems for them.
They're playing underneath the vision, also having Zeus. This is the only hero they can find. They might not even get the kill here. 20 Magic Wand charges on Y.
Yeah, good luck with that one.
Nigma falling apart in game 3.
Just absolutely nothing that they can do, nothing even on the horizon that they can aim towards. And Hand of Midas is there for the Monkey King now, like, sure, but it's going to take a long while for him to make the money back and actually get himself into a good spot to team fight.
Do we have stats on Monkey with Hand of Midas, his win rate, previous DPC? If that's possible, I believe it was 0-4. Maybe someone built it, managed to get 1 dub, but...
I don't think I've seen it. Miracle got a lot on his plate. Nigma, do you smoke up and try and brute force something? Do you go as 5 to maybe pick off the Zeus or the Juggernaut? Or are you kind of just waiting for bigger items to arrive? Oh, saying goodbye. No, maybe not.
Oh, the status resistance.
He just jumps away. And
He even gets the kill.
Roll in, connects as well. Xinqiu's found the Tiny. Oh, this is traumatic for Nigma. A good curse from GH will buy a bit of space for Sumail, but he's going to get hunted, hounded by the LGD squad. Goes out with an avalanche toss, gets Xinqiu at long last, but
found GH.
GH is spun upon. The Maelstrom strikes are going to come out, nothing to say, will zap him down.
Yeah, the heals coming up from the Enchantress, that extra stats from Kaya Sanj, and also extra status assistance, saving Zeus there. I mean, also having ability like Heavenly Jump does help out quite a lot. 17 minutes, new neutral items are about to drop.
A 10,000 net worth lead for LGD as well.
It's very difficult. I think having this Helm of the Overlord, the supports don't do well with it. Juggernaut, I don't think he also wants to go and just hit it. So I feel like this is the timing that they could potentially try to go for something. Pushing out the mid wave, let's see if they have a smoke. They feel like they need to do something. Otherwise, the game is just gonna go really bad for them. Miracle sitting on top of the trees, trying to farm up his Deso, has that Hand of Midas that we mentioned.
You've got to do something to break this rut. They are stuck deep down in the trenches.
Hunting. He's trying to find Monkey King. Let's see if Ame overextends. Usually Ame with the good read. Look at his positioning.
Oh, yes.
Near the east.
Yeah,
I was correct. 0 and 4 with Hand of Midas.
You're a smart lad, you are. Oh, look at Xinqiu. I don't know exactly where he is. They'll see him jump now and the roll across. Did he get him? He connected. He found him. The curse needed by GH. He still falls down off the trees, though, does the Monkey King. Focusing on the Wyvern, though, LGD will take the easy pickings. A roll back across, and Xinqiu is an absolute nuisance. They've got Lightning Bolt, they've got Roll, so many ways to scout the treetops.
What a read from Xinqiu. Not just him, but also the whole squad. You could see Ame's positioning. He understood exactly where he needs to stand. A bit of a different item build this time around on Juggernaut. We don't see the Manta style. Instead, he's going for S and Y just to have that status resistance against Roar, against all the stunts.
That BKB comes out in time for Faith Beyond. He's inside the Wukongs, but I don't think he minds. Doom on the Monkey King now, and the regen for nothing to say, just zapping them down. Faith Beyond kills off Miracle, and Team Nigma just have no answer for this. Sumail blown up by Y and the jug spin. Kuro scouted out and taken down as well.
In the previous game, PSG LGD, they had 8k gold disadvantage and they called the game. This time around, Nigma with 11k deficit, but they've been known to play the game until the end. They, like, especially in a third game, the elimination series, inside Roche Pit, PSG LGD, they go.
Well, LGD not even playing Dota 2 at this point. It's Whack-A-Mole.
Dota 3, it's like turbo mode pretty much.
It's Whack-A-Mole. They see someone pop up, there's an Nigma hero there, they hit them with a hammer. Another one pops up, hit them with a hammer. They're not missing a single shot.
Great spell casting from PSG LGD.
And into Roshan they go. Give this over to Ame. Could even start thinking about high ground 20 minutes in, honestly.
Ame is probably like, guys, can you please stop kill stealing? I'm 1-1 and 12.
Oh, is he?
I want to get some last hits.
Oh, bless him.
At least they didn't steal Aegis from him.
He'll have that at least. And now LGD that wants to play tight. 4-man smoke from Nigma, still looking to try and get anything, absolutely anything. Xinqiu, he'll be the tasty morsel left for them. Try connect with mind control up top, potentially.
Could we check the rune control for this game? I feel like there was maybe one rune that Tiny did manage to pick up. All right, 2 extra, but Zeus with 10 runes. That's pretty insane. And now, yep, of course he found it, the big boy Philly, but it's not gonna hold it.
Oh,
Zeus
really?
players do go for it. Nothing to say, probably thinks, yeah, I'm farmed enough.
I give it to my Enchantress.
Why? Earth Spirit takes it this time.
Well, Y can just sit in his top lane, completely neutering the Beastmaster. He can't push into this. Faith Beyond's going to arrive, Midas the catapult. And Nigma back to their side of the river. When you see LGD arrive, just cowering. Run back and hide. And here comes the smoke, snapping into action. Doom, Earth Spirit, Enchantress sprinting down across the river into that southern part of the map, and they've seen Kuro roll into an Infernal Blade. That next assassin didn't last long. Bug gets squashed. And Arme, he's alone down bottom. This might be an opening for Nigma to play into. They try and TP, but it looks like it gets
he got the
cancelled.
silence.
He finds the
Jin
monkey.
found him.
The rolls in on him. Arme's arrived as well. He's not going to Omni Slash, just going to spin him down. Won't allow the Battle Strike, and the Minute's Curse not helping either. GH blown up along with Miracle by this nothing to say Zeus.
Nothing to say. I haven't seen this many kills on Zeus in a while.
What is he now,
He has
15?
28 kills in 21 minutes. I mean 28 in total, like in terms of assists, but he has 15
It's
kills.
KDA, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts. And now he TPs to the top lane. This is gonna be
Sumail? Faith Beyond's in. He's got the BKB up and they're focusing the tiny Sumail. A mistake to come down to the low ground against this LGD squad. And they are up on your high ground. Still 1-1-14 on Arme, and it's not going to change. Faith Beyond gets the takedown on Kuro.
JNQ has been on point this game, finding Monkey King, like this Spirit Vessel also that we didn't even mention. I feel like they don't even need it against Monkey King, against Wyvern, against Tiny. Like this damage, the healing reduction. Arme does have a healing ward.
Incredible from LGD, flawless stuff. We saw this from them, day one, day two.
Can they save Arme? Yes, they can. Also, Y does have Shard and going for the Holy Locket next. There was one game where he was almost not taking any damage. I remember the fight where Snapfire used ulti on top of him with the Shard.
Yes.
He's like, I don't care, I'm full HP.
I can heal through all your damage over time. No problem for me. Nimbus, the Zap, Miracle, killed. He's dead. They pop the Aegis, sure. But now Nigma, they've got to run, turn tail and hide. The Roar comes out onto Jin Q. Kuro can turn a stun as well. They'll try to focus him down as the curse is on the Zeus. They try and hold them back, but Arme can spin forward. Nothing to stop the
Zeus?
Jug, and the Zeus is perfectly fine. Even with the dive bombs from the Hawks. Nothing to say, we'll get healed back up by Y.
Just follow me. And yeah, nothing to say, still sitting inside the Nimby. And a healing ward on top of that. 18k gold lead. It's almost 1k gold per minute. We're in, GG territory. Once you reach that, 30,000 damage. These healing done, 14,000. Juggernaut, 12,000. Like you would assume that there's gonna be a lot of healing from Monkey, from Wyvern, but never happened in this game, especially in the laning stage. This bottom lane, they completely ruined Monkey.
Yeah, that first clash before creep spawned, right?
Yeah,
the 5-1 start gave them
help out quite a lot.
the early advantage in the laning stage. Yeah, Locket nearly done for Y. And DD Rune spawns up at top as well, which it looks like Arme's got his eyes on. Oh, he's got his second kill, by the way. He is 2-1 and 15 now.
Yeah, very nice of his teammates. Allow him to get... I mean, in this game, the real carry is nothing to say.
Oh, Sumail still in the mood to drop the voice lines at least. I'll retake that bottom outpost. And now he's got Blink Echo, so a little extra nuke damage to maybe find the Zeus if they can hunt him in the back lines. Yeah, such a flawless performance from LGD in this one. Like, why? He feels the smoke coming, so he holds high ground. Gonna wander down and try and see if there's anyone near. Stacks up the camp at the same time. Multiple jobs all at once. Looks like LGD might also be wanting to smoke themselves. They're all here in Dire Triangle, prepping for some kind of move.
Yeah, Monkey King with the Desolator. 0 charges. I guess that's why it's called Desolator, because you get the charges later.
Oh yeah, he's not desoing anyone right now. He's here with Sumail, and they see Arme. Can they Boundless into Avatos? It's a 2,000 plus HP Juggernaut.
With double damage. This one can go so bad so quickly.
What's he got? DD,
he has status. I don't think they can lock him down. They need
resist.
Nyx Assassin. It's a full Scotty now to even limit the healing coming out from these two heroes.
Yeah, good luck with that. A very fast one there.
A lot of fastest items.
No surprise.
In this game, because it really is a stomp so far.
It looks like they're jumping on Miracle. They're finding Sumail in the trees as well. The Doom is there and Miracle's gone. Sumail, he'll get the toss out, but that Nimbus with the Earth Spirit finding picks left and right.
Getting kills on multiple fronts.
On key heroes as well, that's your position 1 and 2. Not dying to a 5-man, smoke gank or anything. That's a pairing of heroes with just Zeus damage globally. A tier 2
still
will
has
die.
that double damage. Tier 3 tower already gone.
He pops it for the racks. Shiva's got Doom done on the Doom. Oh, mate, just bringing down these high ground buildings, pressuring bottom as well with the rest of the team. Nigma thinking about the high ground top. Yeah, the ancient granite golem hitting away at a tier 3. Some kind of trade. Nigma will take those, but I don't think it's going to change the outcome. The way this game's been going, 24,000 gold to the good now, or LGD. 9-38 scoreline.
Does not want to heavily commit. Y is going to be the one pushing.
Just let him do all the hard work. Tank it up. Nimbus there. The roll in. The Monkey King found and killed yet again.
Tier 3 tower gone. Beastmaster trying to go for the split push.
Nice curse on Jin Q. But severe lack of follow through. They find the Zeus though. Oh, they've got him. A huge kill for Nigma. The Power Rangers arriving though, as they all TP back up the top. Earth Spirit dead back near the Radiant Ancient. Beastmaster though, mind control. No running, no hiding. He's going to be spun down by the Armade Jug.
Not a bad trade. They got a lot of gold for that Zeus kill. They did manage to kill range barracks. They did lose melee and the range ones. Who got the last hit on it? It was Kuro. Kuro, 1,300 gold for his next assassin, holding the big boy Philly. Now has 2,000 gold. I don't know if he wants to pick up a big item now, because a lot of gold. I think you can go for Aghanim Scepter. I think this is the item that could change things around a little bit in a team fight. It's very difficult for Nyx Assassin to get it. But if you find Philly, you should definitely try to go for it.
Because that's one of those game-changing items,
yeah,
right? Like
if you buy it up immediately, he knows.
If you buy a Force or a Glimmer or a Lotus, it's like, meh.
There is an unwritten rule for Nyx Assassin. If you don't have Philly, you can go for Aghanim Scepter. Unless you're talking about the 50-minute game. But you find the Philly, and it gets so much easier. Especially with this big kill on Zeus that they just got. First death of nothing to say.
Who wrote that rule?
I made that up, but...
Fogged copies you.
Yeah, we do say it.
20,000 net worth on that Doom as well. Still top of the pops up there.
Oh, it sounded like someone smart invented that when I first said it. Right?
Yeah.
And then when you figure out who said it, you're like, yeah, that's really not a rule. You're just talking shit.
I know Skelly's doing so much damage to that tower. Quick and easy one for LGD. And back towards Roshan they head. Nigma may be an opportunity here for them to take a team fight around this curse, around this Wukongs. They've got decent amount of setup and the ability to fight 5v5, but they are so heavily out-farmed. Kuro looking to scout. And he'll quickly realize what they're up to. It doesn't look like Nigma want to really get involved with this.
Y did take Hawk with the enchant. Jin Q making sure no one's coming from that side. Kuro blinks in, still not low enough.
Yeah, it's a good attempt. He didn't know what was going on inside the pit. Not sure if there's a sentry there. He went for the Hail Mary play.
I think it's worth it. As a position 5, he didn't lose too much. Sumail does have double damage, but the Nimby.
He's got no BKB, does he? So he's just trapped in there. Another simple kill on Sumail, who has not had the best of games after going 0-3 in laning stage. Now 3-8-4.
Full refresher on Fate Beyond. 30 minutes in, on top of Shiva's BKB done, Hand of Midas, level 22, Charlottesville. Like, this is super massive.
Ah, that Doom's a fatty. Look at him. 6 minutes faster than average on that refresher. And LGD are looking for the mega creeps. Y and Arme very happy to frontline in front of the tier 3. GH, an Arctic burn, but Faith Beyond with the Infernal Blade. Monkey King, gonna be held down by the Winter's Curse, but the spin and the hits into Monkey. Miracle's in trouble. Already doomed up. The Wild Axes fly, but Miracle's gonna die, dead for 50 with no buyback. And LGD, they're just gonna storm towards objectives. Tier 3 gone, racks are falling. Roll in from Jin-Q, got his BKB going. The roar is there, but the spin forward will allow them to just shred through. Kuroki buys back, but they're bleeding out. GH dead, no buyback on him. They're in a 3v5.
Oh, toss back into the fountain, into stun. They got him.
They do, but he's got Aegis still. They can get him out of here. They've doomed and killed the Tiny. What are they going to do now? Ame spins and kills them in fountain.
He's like, someone tank it. I'm tanking too much damage. Healing ward and Y already on top of him with the heals. No Tiny, and it's gonna be called GG. What a masterclass performance from PSG LGD in game number 3. That means Nigma Galaxy, they're out of the tournament. They're going home with $200,000, and PSG LGD will play against OG.
Absolutely beautiful stuff. You know, a hiccup in game 2. It was wonderful from Nigma, but they weren't able to keep that adrenaline going and that aggression flowing here in game 3.
They don't even seem too happy about it. It's like, yeah, another
day in the office.
In the office, exactly. Is like, yeah, guys, you stole a lot of kills. I'm not going to be too happy for you. Nothing to say. His Zeus performance, absolutely god tier. On top of the network, breaking some records. The way this whole game started, 5 versus 5, whole team wipe. They managed to get 1 kill from that. Yeah, pretty similar to what happened in game 2. 2 supports inside of Nigma that could not get the job done. Like, they got overwhelmed by the aggression from PSG LGD, and yeah, completely shutting down Monkey King. I think Monkey ended the game with like zero damage on his Deso as well, so pretty difficult, and the stats don't lie. 0-5 when you buy Hand of Midas on a Monkey King, so don't do it at home.
Yeah, it was one of those bleed out effects as well, right? Like, okay, even if we ignore that early 5-man clash, there was still the fact that Jin-Q was able to get a good time in that bottom lane, dragging waves, manipulating creep wave,
Jin-Q,
rolling into mid.
What a performance, like going mid, securing the bottom, getting the kills, then finding Monkey King. Also, in the end, they had the holy trinity of the items against any kind of healing. There was a Spirit Vessel, Scotty, and also she was done on Doom. So pretty much canceling 2 heroes, what they want to do in the fights. Pretty difficult game overall for Nigma Galaxy. They did manage to shut down Tiny in the mid lane as well, understanding like where the real threat is going to come from, because Beastmaster's not that hero that wants to rotate early on, and a bit of a difficult game for Mind Control as well, because he was playing with the Enchantress, not allowing him to play the boar, which you want to have it against Juggernaut, so you go for the axes, but still, Enchantress, why? How long has been sitting in that lane? First bottom, then the top one, and they had no answers for it. Sometimes they did manage to kill him, but no real big kills.
And controlling every single rune as well. You know, Sumail getting ganked over and over again. Ended the game only picking up 4, maybe 5 runes in total. But honestly, everything was so crisp and clean from LGD, even with the panel and us thinking, right, the draft from Nigma looks so incredibly solid. Lane matchups, the team fight, the ability to react, respond, and TP to defend their objectives. If you have this surprise moment, anything can happen in Dota 2, right? That early fight obviously setting the stage for a disappointing result from Nigma, but LGD once again proving why they are considered very often one of the best teams, if not the best team in the world, right? I mean, are they still your favorites to go on and win the whole tournament, or have you got different ideas coming up?
Yeah, most likely, you know, they're still a super greedy team, a super good team whenever they play on LAN, so gotta give them respect. I think our panel should be ready to even talk more about this game.
Not quite yet.
Not quite yet? All right.
We've got an interview getting set up.
Maybe by the GG, because usually Nigma, they are the team that plays until the throne falls, but they had no heroes left, no comeback potential. They understood that this one's over.
Yeah, just absolutely get out of that one. I mean, you know, looking forward, LGD also have the ability to even get out-drafted, but then outplay, and the ability to really figure out who's meant to be targeting who, keeping other heroes very safe as well, like Zeus. He died once that entire game?
In the entire game.
Perfect positioning from him, and that's not just his job, right? That's not just him being incredibly skilled. The rest of his team frontlining and finding openings, targeting the Wyvern, rolling through the trees to spot the Monkey King, zapping with a lightning bolt to give the vision as well. Every little aspect of the game, LGD were on top of.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to see how PSG LGD is going to match up against the OG.
Well, we've got an interview ready on stage, so we'll head over to KP.
I am joined now on the stage by Faith Beyond from PSG LGD. First of all, Faith Beyond, congratulations on the 2-1 victory over Nigma. Now, we need to get into the... Oh, there we go, we gotta get this! Come on, cheer him on! Okay, buddy. First thing I've got to ask, there was a Monkey King Midas in that game. It's looking very bad in this current patch. When you saw it, were you instantly like, we've won this game?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's get a little bit more expansive. This is Yoon, by the way. She'll be translating when I waffle on a little. So this is a little bit of a more interesting one. You guys looked very different in Game 3 compared to Game 2. Run me through what happened there, because of course, different drafts, but different mindset. How did you reset? How did you come into this clutch series and look so dominant?
你们第3局和第2局的状态非常不一样，因为第2局是 Nigma 压倒性的领先，然后第3局是我们压倒性的领先。然后请问在第2局和第3局之间是怎么调整这个 mindset， 就是怎么调整状态的？然后大家说了什么
Okay. Game 2, something went wrong on Q. So, but in Game 3, he did it. He did a great job, and it's all because himself. He adjusted himself.
All right, big shout out to Q. All right, now. This is where you get to kind of expose it a little bit. Every team has the troll or the joker. Who's the joker on LGD?
就是老干爹队内的小丑是谁？不是小丑 ，Joker， 就是比较爱开玩笑的人。
Q, definitely.
What is it that he does that makes him such a joker to you?
为什么是这样的人？为什么是 Joker？
Because he's a funny guy. Yeah.
That's good for morale. Okay, rounding it out, looking forward, looking at the competition list. Is there a team that you're looking at that is the big target? Who do you expect to go up against in the grand finals here?
你们期待在决赛中看到谁？有某个队伍
RNG or Secret, because we lost to Secret before, and I want to win them. And I also want to play versus RNG because this means champion will be a Chinese team.
And just actually that leads into one more brilliant question. Talk to me about this. International LAN, China back competing against other regions. How amazing does this feel?
就是在这个比赛中，中国表现非常亮眼，然后能够总是赢得其他的国际队伍，然后这种感觉就像我们回来了，一切都回来了，就是这种感觉怎么样 ？How do you feel about it?
Very good, excellent. Because we long time we didn't play international games. We didn't play against the other regions team. So we feel very good about this game. This 比赛怎么说
？Tournament.
This tournament, yeah, this tournament. We feel great, and thanks for all the staff and teams.
All right, well, thank you for your time, Faith Beyond. It has been a pleasure to talk to you. Congratulations on the win. Good luck the rest of the tournament. Everyone, give it up for Faith Beyond. Okay, that is all for now. We're going to go to a short break, but when we return, there's another series to be decided, another team to be eliminated. So sit around, don't go too far away, because you don't want to miss the action.
Progress is a race that has no end. After every finish line, another challenge awaits. How can we continue to push innovation in a sport at the forefront of technology? This is how. Discover how Aramco and the Aston Martin Formula One team aim to meet Formula One's sustainable fuel targets. Aramco, powered by How.
PSG LGD wins the first series of the day. You know, these guys back in full form. We're talking about how Nigma Galaxy was looking incredible. Well, PSG LGD in this last game, I think they showed off entirely. They adjusted as the best of three went on. They adapted, and this is what like they see in Dota. You know, seeing a team that over a best of three changes their drafting style to match their opponents. That is the beauty of this game.
It was incredible, and especially it is that more important in a single LM tournament, right? Because you don't get the second chance of the lower bracket, and I mean they really did. They turned up the pace. You know, this Anch, this Earth Spirit. I mean, particularly Xinkyu was amazing. His rotations, his decision making, it was incredible, and I think. Yeah, it fit perfectly against what Nigma had to do.
Exactly, like even from the get-go, like we wanted them to turn up the pace in the early game, wiping Nigma at minute 0 before the horn. It's incredible.
That has a huge impact, and I think that's maybe something that's maybe not usually emphasized enough on. It's like what happens before the rune spawns. Like this has massive impact on the laning phase. You know, we talked about how the monkey was going to dominate the Doom, but all of a sudden it is a Doom that gets level 2 before the monkey. It is a Doom that gets phase boots at an incredibly fast timing, and now the monkey can't get the stacks. I mean, the whole dynamic of the game is going to change, right? The Earth Spirit doesn't need to help the Doom anymore. He gets to go mid, kill the Tiny with the Zeus. Now he gives Zeus ulti. Now the monkey dies a second time. You know, I could go on for like for half an hour, but like it's the butterfly effect of Dota. And definitely when you lose 5 heroes level 1, well, a lot of butterflies coming your way.
We can see this and the highlights brought to you by Aramco as we check out some of the nicest plays of this third game. I did want to point out another thing on top of, you know, the butterfly effect of that initial kill is the importance of fives that we've seen this series. You know, in the second game, we see KuroKy styling over the opponent. This time, Y as well was Enchantress was crucial. Where does the importance of these supports come from? Is it possible that the meta is going to be changing because of this series here in set?
I mean, I think you have to give him some, you know, some attention. You have to think about, okay, he's gonna be playing an Ench, right? He has the Jugger against the Beast. My Beastmaster is not gonna pressure his Jugger. His Ench is gonna be, you know, free to roam wherever he wants. I'm a Nyx. Can I do anything about it? And I don't think it's on Kuro. I don't think the hero you're playing deals with the Ench rotation, right? And then your Tiny's under pressure all of a sudden. The Zeus is popping off. I mean, I don't even know what his score was. I don't even want to know at this point. It's absurd. Like 30 kills in a professional game. Are you kidding me? Like it's like he's just playing a turbo game, you know?
Yeah, and perhaps it has a lot to do with the mid laner, the mid lane especially, right? I mean, some of the biggest changes to the mid lane were around the water runes, all the regen now you get, contesting and vying for those 4 and 6 minute runes with the 5-minute wagon. Like maybe that is going to be a little bit more, especially since Nigma and LGD have kind of shown through their games, their wins, and especially their losses in the case of LGD, that early game is maybe king right now.
Yeah. You know, I mean, once again, I think, you know, the Beastmaster last pick, I mean, obviously all the lanes went really bad, really poorly, and once again, he, you know, there was a level 1 situation, so a lot of things, probably too much pressure on his shoulders. It just felt like they did not have the tools this time around, Nigma, to deal with LGD's pressure from the early game, you know. Yeah, we talked about how they had this monkey that was gonna be able to pop off, but you know, before that there is, you know, the level 1 spawn, then there's the rune fights, and then there's the laning phase, and if at that point you're at such a big disadvantage, there's not much you can do to come back.
Yep, you can see this in the scoreboard brought to you by STC. I do want to point out one item that Lacoste made fun of, but it kind of showcases what this game was. It was the recovery Midas that Miracle was forced to go for because of that laning stage. I mean, that is a sign of a doomed early game.
Yeah, speaking of Doom, right, the Doom Midas looking a lot better there for Faith Beyond
yes.
in the late game. I mean, that's the thing. Like, I think this draft was really brilliant by LGD, right? I really loved their second phase bans, but even with this pick of the Doom, even if his lane is impossible, even if it's hard, like we genuinely thought it would be this monkey lane, and we thought it was going to be incredible. He is a hero that needs no space on the map, just needs his Midas, just needs a small camp, and he's going to be right up there with the top in terms of net worth.
Yeah, definitely, and once again, you know, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but you lose 5 heroes level 1, the whole dynamic of the game is going to change, and if you banked on winning the lanes, then all of a sudden you might not be able to, and it's going to be a different game that you're going to have to play, and maybe your draft doesn't suit that.
And that was just our MVP, SinQ, you know, honestly, genuinely the type of game that, like, you watch this on an Earth Spirit and he makes you want to, like, hit play Dota, queue into Earth Spirit, and then you go, curse my slow hands. It's just, yeah, don't you just hate it when that happens?
No, that doesn't really happen to me, but I mean, I can empathize. No, truth be told, my Earth Spirit is actually pretty bad. My former teammates are probably laughing at me right now, so no, I definitely see what you mean, man. It's not only your hands, it's like everything. Nothing works. You know, these players, they make it look easy.
Yes.
Like, you look at him, you're like, well, this hero, you know, all you have to do is kind of kill everybody everywhere, and then suddenly you win the game. But it is clutch, you know, it's the right timing, the right time, obviously the right spell casting, landing your spells. It was amazing. I mean, I think he just obliterated Nigma with his rotations, and you know, props to Faith Beyond for also giving him the credit. You know, he was like, literally every answer he gave was like, Xingqiu, 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 Xingqiu.
I mean, nothing to say with the pretty impressive recovery, especially when you consider how Game 2 ended in such a stompy fashion. Like the early GG call, like it does make me wonder, as someone who's just been a viewer and has not really played at the top level of sports, like what happens in between Game 2 and 3, especially at LAN? Like, what is the impact of like a coach at these kinds of events?
I mean, massive impact, I think, especially a coach that is so close to his players. In Chao 8 and PSG, I mean, they went through a lot together, obviously, you know, highs, but also the lows. You think of losing a TI finals, you know, of course, it's unfortunate, but it creates very strong bonds and very strong trust, especially when you're able to bounce back, which they obviously are, you know, looking at what they did here. So, yeah, I think he can definitely change the dynamic, you know, turn the mindset around. They are instrumental to big rounds in tournaments.
And now we see how the bracket advances as a result of this loss. Unfortunately, we do not have any more games for Nigma Galaxy. They'll be out of this tournament, but we do get to see more of PSG LGD and more of XingQ, Xiaoba, all these wonderful players. They'll actually be playing against OG next. So Seb, how are you feeling about that one?
I mean, you know, mad props for Faith Beyond for doing the interview in English, by the way. I really love that. I think that was very, very commendable. But he did mention Secret as RNG as being his favorite team to face in the final, and every time OG has been underlooked, every time they have been ignored, magic happens. So, you know, I don't want to jinx anything here. I don't want to. I'm just saying, you know, there's somebody on the way before you get to RNG and Secret, and I'm pretty sure they're gonna have something to say about you getting to the grand final.
Yeah, I mean, OG Liquid, you know,
no bias, guys.
They played a couple of games against each other. I think a couple important matches for a decent amount of money, which now LGD are going to secure themselves with this win, now guaranteed a top 4 finish, which is looking very impressive, honestly, for the Chinese region. Right, that was a big question coming to this LAN. How is Chinese Dota going to stack up against all the other international teams? And yeah, I think so far, I think the region can be proud. 2 of the 10 teams being Chinese now, and one of them top 4.
The speed at which they adapted, right? Crazy.
And I'm very interested in what the other Chinese team does, because when you talk to everyone in the world, they're like, yeah, LGD probably still in full form. But what happens to the rest of China, who hasn't been able to travel internationally, who hasn't seen that much mix of new players besides 1 or 2 teams? What is RG going to do? How are they improving? And that's what we're going to get to see next, as they're going to be duking it out against Team Spirit in our next series of the day. But before that, a small break, and we'll be right back with another exciting series of Dota 2.
مع التحديث الجديد لستيتي بلاي، تجربة جديدة للكل. لو جوك دايم تحديات، نافس وانضم للبطولات. استكشف الشات والتايم لاين، وتسوق من متجر التطبيق. الليدر بورد على تفاعلك بالتطبيق، والجوائز الأسبوعية والشهرية على نظام النقاط تنتظرك. ستيتي بلاي، مهما كان جوك هذا محلك.